G'day everyone. Welcome to episode 17 of the Cold-Blooded Contributions podcast, and it also happens to be the final episode for 2024. The Cold-Blooded Contributions podcast is proudly sponsored by Midwest Tongs. For over 40 years, the Midwest Tongs team has been providing the highest quality snake handling tools made in the USA, made by professionals for professionals. We're your hosts, the Ipers. I'm Ty Iper, and with me is my husband, Scott Iper. This podcast will bring to you people in the hobby who have made an impact on us creatively, be it artistically, with data, or improved our husbandry. For our end of the year recap, we were lucky enough to spend time with almost everyone we interviewed throughout the year. As this idea came at the beginning of December, it unfortunately left little time for planning. We felt really bad asking everyone to do this, especially those guys overseas, as the time differences really suck. The only person we couldn't actually sit down with was Dillon from Animals at Home, but Dillon wanted to be a part of our end of the year recap, so he recorded his segment at home and sent it across to us so he could join in. Well, babe, 24's over. What a year it's been. Did you do anything you've never done before?
I got 2 speeding fines in very quick succession. That was something different. No, babe, I suppose this year was much of the muchness of the same things we've done every year out. Obviously, with one minor exception, we've kicked off a podcast ourselves. I suppose that's more than a little bit of a single thing to do for the year. What about you?
Well, I'm glad you didn't say a female's name. Yeah, for me, it was a podcast. I never, ever, ever saw myself doing this. I'm a private person, really. I don't like sharing that much, and I didn't actually think we'd ever do this. So, yeah, pretty stoked how it's gone, though.
Yeah, I think it's done bloody well for a start off. I can't believe we're 17 episodes down. Obviously, I've been a guest on plenty of podcasts, and you've been on plenty of podcasts as well. It's a very different beast from being a guest on one to actually doing on yourself. There's a lot more other things that you need to do in the background. For me, it's actually not that different, to be fair. I don't do that much in the background. I just sort of listen to you bitch and moan about something not working properly.
Glad you added that.
And then you blaming me for me doing something wrong or whatever.
Oh, wow.
What would you like to have next year that you didn't have this year?
Time. Sleep maybe might be a nice one too.
I think sleep's probably more your bit. Oh,
I'd like
right.
to hang out with friends more, or at all.
Wow, don't I count as a friend?
What, the 11 p.m. as I catch you snoring on the lounge? Yeah. Quality time, babe. Quality time.
What was your biggest achievement this year?
I'd have to say it was the Field Guide to the Snakes of Australia. You?
Yeah, I think the field guide's probably the biggest amount of work in one thing that we've done in a long time. There was so much work in regards to things like the keys and the proofing, and there was so much effort that went into that. And we can't thank the contributors enough in regards to things like photos and papers and all that sort of stuff as well. Like, it was a huge amount of work, not only from us, but from
others,
all our supporters, I suppose.
And they've been solid the whole way through each book.
100%. Yeah. I think the other thing is to getting them out so quickly as well. I mean,
all right, okay.
Holy shit. How long does that take to put them out? It's interesting because your time blindness really comes into effect on that when you turn around and go, oh, it'll only take a weekend. I'm like, no, this is going to take like 4 weeks. And
I was close-ish.
No, you weren't. Not even fucking close.
No, all right, I'll own that.
We were cutting up cardboard and stuff like that to protect around the books.
Weeks beforehand.
Well, months before.
So I'd written out all the bags like a week beforehand as well, and it still took so long.
Yeah.
So long.
People in the post office got to know us pretty well, though. So.
Yeah, it was like, fuck, not them again.
I reckon.
I've got to work now. What do you wish you'd done more of this year?
You.
Oh. Should I say you for my answer?
It would have been good to get out and go snaking more or herping more and photograph more, but long story cut in half. We're pretty busy between our business, between the bookshop, between the animals, between research projects, podcast, and then a normal day job as well. Yeah, I think we've done pretty well with the time that we had, put it that way.
I don't know. It feels like the year's just flown. I honestly can't remember the beginning of the year.
It's still 2023, isn't it?
Sure. Boy, do I get a backlog of presents.
What do you wish that you've done less of?
Honestly, work. We didn't really have a life.
No, not really.
Well, you obviously had a life twice. You got 2 speeding fines, but it feels like all we do is work.
Yeah. Well, between that and our new fur baby that has anxiety issues and doesn't want to bloody be off your hip, like, it makes it tough travelling and stuff like that. But even still, in the last 12 months, we've got away a little bit. We've been down to Melbourne. We spoke at the VHS at their expo, which was great. We were at the Illawarra Herpetological Society for the book launch of the field guide, which was fantastic too.
Yes, well, I do have to say we have two pretty awesome dog sitters with Cody and Manny.
Yeah, no, they were certainly very helpful.
Oh, and Maddie, obviously, and Maddie. Yeah.
And then we went to the Brisbane Expo as well together, and that was really good as well. And we're looking forward to that in 2025. Yeah, other than that, work, and I got away on a sneaky little herp trip out to South Australia, which was really good.
How are you envisioning Christmas? Do you reckon we'll relax or work?
Nah, work. Nah, we'll get it a day, maybe. We'll do our Christmas brekkie as we usually do. I'm looking forward to Christmas Eve to do the Scandinavian Christmas thing where we give each other a book and just sort of sit around and eat shit and really enjoy ourselves. And
I'm looking forward to the Long Island iced teas as I read my book.
I might even have a Bailey's.
Ooh, you rebel.
What was the best book you read this year?
Hal gave me a book at the beginning of the year and said that I'd be able to resonate with it, and just didn't have time. And I eventually got to it and kicked myself for not getting to it. So The Birdman's Wife. It's about Eliza Gould, John Gould's wife. She did all the illustrations for the birds that he discovered when he came out. She also illustrated for Darwin as well. It was just a female back in the times where females obviously were behind their men. It was a really interesting read, actually.
Was it somewhat sobering, or what made it so interesting?
Sobering is in the fact that not much has fucking changed. Well, it's not the sort of thing I would read to begin with. You know, that's not my genre of reading.
Yeah, John Athan's more your spoon.
I don't know. It was really well written. It was a woman's PhD. She's thoroughly researched Eliza, and I don't know, it was just really good. Early settler Australia as well. They travelled out to Australia and she was illustrating them. It was just really well written.
Yeah, okay. I really enjoyed that DGHT publication on the captive management of threatened newts and salamanders that came out from Edition Chimera. I found it really interesting because I kept newts as a kid.
Can you remember that far back?
Yeah, a little while ago. I had Cynops, Phyrogasca, the Japanese firebellies, and I also had smooth newts, Lysotriton, vulgaris. And it was interesting reading about how other species of Lysotriton and Cynops and Tylotriton and a whole heap of other salamanders and newts are kept, and just how threatened they are. Particularly
that was quite alarming.
Yeah, I think a bit like chytrid fungus affect the frogs. You've got bee cells, which is a chytrid basically for chordates, and that along with climate change as well, particularly
humans.
Climate change is obviously a significant issue for aridification of areas, and then temperature increases, particularly for mountain-top endemics. The animals can only go up the hill so high, and then when there's no more room for them to go, what's going to happen? They'll end up dying out. So
but combine that with the local medicine man in the tribe, food.
Yeah.
How do they stand a chance?
Yeah.
It was an eye-opener. You know it's happening in the back of your mind, but I guess too here, not being able to keep them, it doesn't seem as prominent as some of the issues that happen here with our own reptiles and amphibians, obviously. But to actually read it in black and white by scientific papers too, it's not just somebody giving their thoughts on it. To actually see the statistics, it was like, shit, something really needs to be done.
I think too the interesting part about it is that there was contributors from Latin America, there was contributors from Europe, there was contributors from Asia, and contributors from the Ukraine or Russia. There was contributors from the UK, Germany, Poland, I think as well, France. And it was interesting reading through the similarities, but also the differences in approaches to husbandry or amphibian husbandry in particular. And while there's similarities to keeping frogs, it isn't necessarily the same, but it was certainly interesting to read how important things like UV light are, the right conditions, heating and temperature, and then even things like diet, stuff like that as well. It's really, really good.
So while we were working non-stop, what kept you sane? I know the answer's not me.
Routine keeps me sane. It's not an easy thing for me to work outside of a routine. Anyone that knows me knows that I like to plan a plan. It's one of those things. I like having plans on plans, so I can best utilise the time that I have.
Sorry, I try. I don't know what kept me sane. I think it would be the PlayStation.
Yeah, okay. You've become a gamer, haven't you?
It's not that.
It causes you to focus.
Yeah, it stops me thinking about what needs to be done, what I got to get done, what should have gotten done that I didn't have time to do. And I don't get overwhelmed, or I don't start to spiral, I guess.
I think too, with things like that, it's a bit like the whole idea why people used to smoke. One of the reasons that they used to smoke was that sometimes that they would use that as a stop, reset, and allow them to focus on a problem.
I take it you mean cigarettes.
Yeah.
I'm going to say that doesn't help me focus.
What valuable life lesson did you learn this year?
Menopause sucks. I'm sorry you live in the Arctic now.
It's all right, it's almost as cold as your heart.
Not quite.
I did say almost.
Enjoy the time you have. We just seem to work.
Yeah.
Or we've had people come over that we haven't been able to spend as much time with that we wanted to because we've had deadlines.
Yeah. I think enjoy the moment is something that's pretty important.
Yeah.
I mean,
we both say we're going to do, and then another contract comes in and we're like, work.
I suppose just enjoy the time that you have, because you never know how long it's going to be. If you could go back to the beginning of the year, what advice would you give yourself? Besides, don't start a fucking podcast.
Honestly, and I'm going to regret saying this, and it's on the podcast, so it's for prosperity, because I'm never going to admit it again, so you're just going to have to go back to this episode and re-listen to it. You were right. I think my exact words for you were, how hard could it be you talk?
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't think the advice would be listen to your husband, but I think the advice might be he was right about the podcast. We don't have time for this.
Yeah. I think too, we've got to remember that while we want to try and get the episodes out every month, occasionally it might be a little bit longer, or it might be a little bit shorter sometimes.
It's so easy for you to say you talk, you have a good night or a good day.
Yeah, we're not going to move mountains with this podcast.
No, we're not.
So I don't want this to be our only endeavour. We've got other things that are, frankly, are more important.
Oh, definitely. And it is a good excuse to catch up with people that are just as insanely busy as us, that put time aside, that we wouldn't normally be able to catch up with because both parties are so busy.
Oh, yeah, it's a fantastic conduit for that, that's for sure. Who made you work overtime in the editing?
You.
What are you talking about? I wouldn't know what you're talking about at all. I hope you keep this bit in too, because it's not like I ever or put in filler words or anything like that.
No, it's your pauses, dude. They're insane. Adam, you can no longer call Scott Bear because you have huge paws too. So now that you put me on the spot, who was your favourite interview? Or you can pick more than one.
Oh, look, having a chat to Busho is always good fun. Talking to Adam was just like a bloody phone call that I have with Ads every other day. That was good. I enjoyed talking to Pierre. I enjoyed talking to Matt.
Refer back to long pauses here.
I don't think I really had a favourite per se. I got something out of every chat that we had with all of our guests. And obviously it's a bit weird listening to yourself after the conversation, but it's always interesting, and particularly if I've ducked out to go to the loo, which has happened a couple of times mid-podcast or something like that, you catch up and listen to the things that were said while you weren't sitting there. So that was always fun too.
For me, I think it was obviously Cory, because like you said with Ads, it's the phone call every other day and it's easy.
Yeah.
Pete and Cory were, for me, really easy. For me, this is hugely stepping out of my comfort zone. I think it was, for me, more ease, the comfort value.
I think you became a lot more comfortable on the mic as well from the start to now.
I don't know. Wait till you hear the Christmas ones that I did while you were at work. You can tell I need questions or I need something written down because I suck without guide.
Funny, I like that regiment stuff, but I can wing it when we're coming to a conversation.
I wouldn't go that far.
No, what I'm saying is that while I'm talking in the podcast, I can have a conversation without having that regimented question type thing.
No, it's not that. It's I get conscious. And okay, one day the oil did kick in a bit harder than it should have, and I was somewhat not with it. Poor Gus. I guess direction is probably the better term. I need direction. Winging it, I'm not as comfortable.
Fair enough. I suppose this sort of closes out the intro. For the listeners now, you're going to go through a whole heap of cuts. So the sound quality might be a little bit jumpy at times as we go.
On my editing, dude?
No, just different days and all the rest of it, and different background noise and all the rest of it. Internet speeds and quality, because I'm using an absolute fucking dinosaur of a laptop, and that might have something to do with it as well. So without further ado...
Hang on, I'd like to say a big thank you to everyone who helped our podcast grow. The guests, the listeners, and who participated in the listeners' questions segment. Thanks so much for the support, guys. We really appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you.
Enjoy the rest of the podcast. With us now, we have Adeline and Chris from Adeline Robinson Art. How are you guys doing?
Hey there, we are doing wonderfully. Thank you for having us.
Thanks for coming back, guys.
So how's the weather over there, guys? I'm assuming it's pretty cold this time of year?
Yes, very cold.
Very cold.
Today
very
it's
cold.
Like a high of 12.
Ooh, yeah, Fahrenheit, yeah. It slaps you in the face the second you walk out the door. So we're definitely all bundled up and completely covered whenever we go outside, which is minimal at best. So been very productive in the art studio.
Excellent. Well, at least it drives you back into the studio as opposed to gallivanting around on the back of your horse or getting out and doing some herping. Obviously a bit warmer for us, so we can get to do a bit of herping this time of year.
Yes,
sure.
Very little of both.
Yes, definitely.
So what's been news in your world over the last 12 months, guys? What have you been up to?
A lot of big changes, actually. We got our art studio set up, so we've got the giant workspace now. We've got a big table where we could back and sleeve and get all the prints ready and packages ready to get shipped out. We've got a computer area. We've got my drafting table moved over and easels set up. So we've got the studio set up pretty well where we like it. And our current new thing that we are starting is daily live streams where I do morning studies of different animals for roughly, and I say roughly, an hour and a half every morning from Monday through Friday. And I just like to explore different creatures. I've been doing primarily herp and amphibian artwork for a very long time. I do have a background in aquatics and in birds as well and other critters, and I have an interest in insects and arachnids and truthfully a little bit of everything. So It's been really fun being able to start the mornings off like that, just making a cool piece of an animal that I've been interested in for a while and sharing that with everybody on live. So that's been pretty fun.
Where do you source the reference images? Are they straight out of your head, or is that something that you go out and obtain yourself?
Usually, I prefer to use reference photos that I have taken myself. However, I always really appreciate having wonderful photographer friends, such as yourselves, that have allowed me to use beautiful reference photos.
The thylacine was your reference photo.
A thylacine was...
You took that. Yeah, you took that.
Yeah, I totally took a thylacine photo myself. Usually, it's either one of the photos I have taken, a photo that a friend has taken. Occasionally, I will go on open source Creative Commons images, and we'll find images on there if it's something that I don't have an image of already. I have used some of those before, but it's always kind of my favorite if it's an image that I took, because then I kind of have more of a personal story with it.
Yeah.
But I have yet to explore the entire world and head out in your direction to be able to get references. So very grateful to have friends that take amazing photos.
Sounds like you've got a reason to have a tax write-off trip to Australia.
Oh, that's a good idea. Business card.
100% business trip.
Yeah.
Camera equipment with.
I'm down. I'm on my way.
Say the word.
You got herping weather, all the goodies over there.
It's funny, a little while ago we were going through the Australian Reptile Park, and as I walked through out back a house, here's one of your pictures of some tree monitors. It was pretty incredible to see. Yeah, it was pretty incredible to see one of your prints up on the wall in the back of the reptile house. So that was pretty cool.
Oh, cool. That makes me so happy to hear.
Neat,
yeah, it's so fun to hear about, because it's still truthfully kind of unreal to me that the stuff that I work on is in people's homes or in facilities. That's like bonkers. I love hearing about that. That's so cool.
It's always fun, too, whenever we get an order and we're like, Australia!
It's cool.
Definitely. It's something, I guess, growing up, you would never comprehend that people would want something that you've done, let alone want it in all four corners, so to speak. We have the same feeling.
Sure.
Yeah.
It's weird when you go into somewhere and you see your book for sale. It's like, what the hell's going on there? That feels weird, isn't it?
That's cool.
Yeah.
It would be neat.
Yeah, it's definitely a good feeling. I remember, so my grandmother was a watercolor artist, and when I first went full-time with my artwork, I could tell she was a little bit nervous because she isn't familiar with our current state of social media and being able to communicate with anybody anywhere. And when I was explaining to her that I was doing live streaming and that people from different countries were able to watch me draw in real time, that like blew her mind. And it really is so cool to think about the fact that you and we're both communicating on opposite ends of the world and chit-chatting about herps and reptiles, and I just think it's super cool what we can do nowadays.
Oh, yeah, I remember the day where international was like save your pennies sort of thing. That was the phone call to end all phone calls. It would cost you an arm and a leg. And even interstate, you'd be as quick as possible. You'd say what you want and then pretty much say bye and hang up. Like, it was so expensive.
It's pretty incredible the other day. We had one guest who resides in the UK. We had his counterpart who lives in Florida, and then us in Australia. So literally 3 corners of the globe was covered at the same time while we're doing a live recording like we are now. And it's just, to me, that literally means that our voices are bouncing off satellites and coming down in real time, and somehow it isn't getting jumbled up for the most part. So then when I look at it and think about it like that, I'm like, if it all goes to shit with it and it goes a bit squaggly sometimes, it is what it is. I mean, it's a pretty incredible time to be able to do things like this.
Oh, it really is. That's cool. That's a true international call, that's for sure.
Definitely.
I think we just take it for granted, though.
Yeah, for sure.
Because we get so shitty when it doesn't work, but now we're cruising along fine in a conversation, and if this actual topic hadn't been brought up, we wouldn't have given it a second thought.
No, definitely not.
Yeah. Very, very
We all
true.
get mad that it doesn't work, but none of us has any clue how it works.
Exactly.
So speaking of second thoughts and thinking about things that you've done, what was your favourite reptile expo that you attended this year, guys?
Favorite expo?
Probably
Let's see.
several. I would say Daytona is always our favorite.
Daytona is always a favorite of ours. The
Finley's always
beach.
amazing.
Yeah, the beach is so fun. Being able to see turtle and tortoise species that we never get to see anywhere else, only in Daytona. That is always very exciting. And truthfully, I mean, it was a really wonderful show. We had a lot of really special moments there where Chris was gifted a BMX bike that was custom made for USARC. So that was really exciting. It was really nice. We had a friend of ours from home fly out to his first Daytona show. He's actually our buddy that married us. He owns a pet store here where I used to work.
Yeah.
We're very close still. And his brother is a zookeeper in Florida. And so when we do Florida shows, his brother will come out and hang out. And then for our local shows, he'll come out. So it was really fun to have the two brothers there for the first time working at one show together, or being at one show together. So that was a really fun show. And then Tinley, of course, is super special to us because we got married at Tinley. So that's a fun one. Bob's show was awesome.
Amazing in Georgia.
Yeah, the Southeast Reptile Expo was a blast. We had a wonderful time there. They were so welcoming to all the vendors. So it was really nice to experience a show by vendors for vendors. The amount of people that I heard talk about the show afterwards was fantastic. And hearing people talk about how happy they were to have help loading and unloading and things like that, it really makes a big
And the way
difference.
Daniel had just how he ran the show.
It was really professional.
Yeah.
It was easy to figure out and very welcoming. So those were, I would say, probably our top 3. It's a little hard to narrow it down to one.
Sorry, who was that? You said that was the Southeast Reptile Expo?
Reptile Expo. So Bob Vu.
Yeah.
It was the first one.
He's the one that started the show, and it was the first show that they had was this year.
Is he going to repeat it? Did he do well enough to go, yep, I'll do this again?
There will be one in February, which we'll be going to. So it's the weekend of the 15th and 16th of February. Valentine's Day weekend. So we're trying to think of fun puns and slogans to get people to Valentine's. But yeah, I'm super excited for that show. It's going to be fun. Georgia's so beautiful and really cool to go check out and go herp as well. So I always love driving through and seeing the mountains.
Nice at that time of year as well?
It's nicer than here.
Yeah. Very, very much so. Yeah. Every year we wonder why we live here. Why would anybody live here? It's so cold over the winter, but the summers are really nice.
If it makes you feel any better, here in Queensland, where we are, we've pretty much had rain, storm, mugginess, and it's just been insane how muggy it has been at the moment this year.
Yeah, she's been a humid one.
The scuba suit to go out.
Is that good for herping or is it not?
Look, it's been a little bit cool. If it was a little bit warmer, the mugginess would be great. But because it's a little bit cool and muggy, it drops down the activity levels a bit. But it's not too bad. There's certainly things moving.
What have you guys got planned for Christmas?
That is a great question.
I don't know.
Are you getting some relaxation in?
Hopefully a little bit. So usually we do a lot of bouncing around on Christmas because my family does Christmas on Christmas Eve evening. Chris's family does Christmas Eve day. And then I guess half of my family does either Christmas Day or the following day. So we haven't quite figured out all the days will be, but trying to visit everybody.
It's a lot of Christmas in a couple of days.
We're driving around. That's probably going to be it. We are having a little holiday a potluck party here at the studio. It's going to be the first time having folks over, and that will be after Christmas, before New Year's. So that'll be fun. We haven't really hosted a little party before, so I'm looking forward to it.
In your new space too, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, this is the first time we actually have space to bring anybody over. So.
We set up a Christmas tree, but we also have a monstera that won't stop growing, and it's about 8-10 feet tall now.
That's about 10 feet tall, at least, yeah. So we've got, 10-foot tall monstera.
So we decorated it with ornaments. So we have like a Christmas tree and a Christmas monstera.
Mm-hmm.
Ours is fruiting at the moment. We put one in a pit, 15 odd years ago, and that thing thrives on neglect. It is massive. The fronds, the leaves are, a lot of them are longer than my arm, and it's fruiting now, and I keep meaning to grab the fruit, but I've seen too many warnings. Yeah.
That's amazing. That's so cool.
Yeah, and we don't have a Christmas tree because somebody who shall remain nameless cocked his leg on last year's, so I'm a bit hesitant as to buy a tree. And yeah.
Thanks for bringing this inside for me, guys.
You get to pee in the end.
Yeah, pretty much.
So, obviously, Adeline, you draw a lot of things. You put a lot of pieces together. In the last 12 months, what has been your favourite?
I would say one of my most recent and current favorites is the Siamese crocodile that I did yesterday, the day before yesterday, or was it?
I did it for Crocfest.
Yeah, for Crocfest. They just received it this evening, and the original of it, at least. And so it will be going into the auction tomorrow to raise funds for Siamese crocodiles and for black caimans. I'm pretty excited for that piece. I hope it does really well. I'll be honest, it was a little hard letting it go. But I'm really happy that it's going to a really good cause.
She got done drawing and stepped back. Did I say I was giving the original? Like, you said it multiple times. Video. She's like, damn it.
This is truly what fuels my wildlife art, is to be able to create artwork that can benefit the animals themselves. That's always been my goal from the get-go when I started doing this. So I'm really happy to be able to contribute and to be able to help as much as I can. I'm not there in the field. I'm not doing any field work, but I'm trying to help from here.
Obviously, you don't just have the art, but then also too, you've diversified and you've got stickers and water bottles and all that sort of stuff. Have you ever thought about doing Christmas ornaments?
Just started thinking about that recently, truthfully, because we have never set up a tree until this year. And now that I've got a tree I'm staring at, I thought the other day, why don't I maybe start making some ornaments?
You could use your existing images and put like a wreath around them or something along those lines and Christmas them up a little bit for the herpers that are out there that I'm sure would like to look at something.
Yeah, that would be really fun. I feel like there's a lot of designs that
we
would
looked
work
into
well.
getting like a laser cutter and through a laser printer and all that stuff because I think they make one.
Yeah, we're currently looking into those.
Cut it out. So we looked into it, but it's a large investment. And then usually the drop shipping, like we have a lot of stuff that's drop ship, but you don't really make any money on drop ship. You make like a couple of dollars, and it's more of just to get your stuff out there.
Yeah.
If we would have thought of it 3 months ago, we would have had time to get ready. A week and a half ago, and we're like, it's a little late.
Yeah, and cards too. We're going to make Christmas cards maybe next year, so that might be a next year thing.
That's the thing, right? You think about it now and then suddenly it's like, okay, right, I'll think about that. I'm going to wait till Christmas goes by. And then suddenly it gets to September, October, and I'm like, I was really meant to do that. And then suddenly it's another 12 months down the line.
That's how it goes, for sure.
It adds up to even this. Like, this was an idea last week, and then I thought, shit, I'm going to need a lot more time to get it edited. I was like, I can't just spring this on everyone. And I thought, I'll try. And I did, and everyone was so good about it.
Oh.
Yeah.
It's been great.
At least I'll be prepared for next year.
Excellent.
We're always excited to talk to you.
Same, guys. It's been too long. I feel like we blinked and this year went. I'm in denial. When
When was it we talked? I'm trying to remember what month that was.
January.
I think
it was January.
I thought it was like 3 weeks ago.
Yeah, it feels that way, doesn't it?
Yeah.
January. I can't believe that was January. Wow.
Yeah.
Are you guys coming out here next year, or is it the following?
Hopefully the following. It won't be next year. Hopefully the following one after that. So,
because I remember you guys talking about coming out here. So
yeah, timber rattlesnakes, eastern diamondback rattlesnakes, and Gila monsters are pretty high, and blacktail rattlesnakes are pretty high on our lists.
Oh, just leaving the country, that's pretty high on my list.
Yeah, for sure. Just getting out and seeing something.
Just not being stuck behind my computer. Thank you so much for coming on, guys. We hope you both have a Merry Christmas and all your families, and we look forward to speaking again in the new year.
Absolutely. Thank you, and likewise.
we have with us Josh Fastuca. Josh was one of our earlier episodes. How are you, Josh? How have you been?
Yeah, good for the most part. It's been a busy couple of months, running around like a headless chook as always.
Is there any other way?
Doesn't seem to be.
So what's been happening since we caught up earlier on in the year?
Yeah, so I suppose the main one, the big one for me was turning 21. Happy days.
I can't remember that far back, Josh.
We've got like multiple snakes older than you.
Yeah.
Way to make us feel old, Josh.
It was a good fun couple of weeks getting everything ready for that. Yeah, that's probably the big ticket item. Not long after talking to you guys, I did a VHS talk as well, which was one of those real dream moments where I sort of have been sitting there going to the meetings for years and going, yeah, one day it'd be nice to do one of those when I've done something that's worth talking about, and wasn't expecting it to be this year when Adam gave me the tap on the shoulder and said, hey, do you want to do a talk? So that was pretty exciting. A bit nerve-wracking, of course.
Yep.
Talking in front of a room full of people that looked up to for years. Many of them are very good mates of mine. It was still like, oh, a bit out of my depth here, but I'll just run with it anyway.
I hear you.
There's always a little bit of nerves when you first kick off, when you do a talk in front of a herp society or anything like that, because you're talking to an audience that knows the subject. A bit different to when you're talking to the general public. The general public, there's certainly members of the general public that have got a very good idea of herps and stuff, but generally speaking, you're not seeing a room full of them. So what was the talk about at the VHS, Josh?
So it was a bit of a sort of telling my story. Was the first half, so talking about sort of how I got into reptiles and how it sort of shaped over the years and some of the things that I've kept, all that sort of thing, and some of the stuff that I've done work-wise as well. And then the second half of the talk was a Q&A session, myself and Adam, talking about how the VHS has supported me over the years and how I've ended up where I am.
Supported you with your fox phobia.
Yeah, something like that. that story did get mileage that night as well. It's safe to say many of them have not let me live that down, and I don't think they ever will, but that's all right.
That's all right. We've got to give people what the fans want, mate. You know, Josh and Foxes is where it's at.
That's it. Yeah, absolutely.
So what else have you been up to this year, mate?
I suppose going along with the anti-fox approach, as of a couple of months back, doing information guiding at the Odonata Foundation out at Mount Rothwell. Mm-hmm. So that's a bit of fun. That's touring people around for an hour or two through a nocturnal sort of spotlighting tour, looking at a whole bunch of cute and fluffy natives that aren't found outside the fence for the most part.
That's cool.
Good for them and good for me. There's no foxes around. So happy days.
It's a pretty incredible sight, isn't it, to be able to walk around some of those locations and see those 1 to 5 kilo mammals that have been absolutely decimated by cats and foxes and dingoes as well, to be fair.
Yeah.
The change in just the plant structure within those locations and all that sort of stuff, that when the right animals are there, it's incredible how it changes the ecology of that environment.
Yeah, absolutely. And through a lot of the work that's being done out at Mount Rothwell, you're starting to also see significant patches that are also rabbit-free. Yep. And seeing the difference between where there is rabbits and where there isn't rabbits. And again, that vegetation structure with the native critical weight range mammals instead of the rabbits is pretty unbelievable to see. And you just sort of think that's what most of Western Victoria would have been 200 odd years ago. I like to say to people at the start of the tour, it's kind of like doing a Back to the Future tour where you see what it was like and what it could be in an ideal world at some point down the track.
Imagine what it would have looked like 50,000 years ago before we decided to bring placental predators to the country.
Yeah, absolutely.
How's uni going, Josh?
Yeah, good. So that was, I suppose that's a big thing that I haven't necessarily told the world about yet because I'm still waiting to have my fancy grad day, but my bachelor's degree is all done. So
congratulations.
Yeah, big tick, thank you.
So trying to do honours now or prep for honours?
So I can officially report back that I am going to be part of the July intake for the honours program at Deakin.
Yeah.
And the plan that we're working through at the moment is going to be, shocker again, predatory fence related to reptiles. Who'd have thought?
Yeah.
And looking at a few different methods of trying to find reptiles as well, so like artificial cover, active search, and using camera traps, and sort of comparing the methods potentially while also comparing the influence of the fences, and hopefully in the long term proving out that the fences are a good thing even if reptiles are not the main target for the fences. That would be ideal, but obviously we'll wait and see what the data says and then write up accordingly from there.
I am so stoked for you, Josh. Congratulations.
Thank you. Yeah, it'll be a bit of a nuts 12 month from all accounts. One of those things where it's pretty much full pedal for the metal, but I'm very much looking forward to it. It'd be nice to be able to essentially run my own research program and have a few mates down as volunteers and all that sort of thing, which will be good fun.
It sounds to me like you literally like, how can I design an honest project that allows me to do the maximum amount of herping possible? Because you can't obviously just herp within the fence. You've got to herp outside of the fence as well. You've got to get reasonable baseline data to work that out. So you need to herp both sides and use that same methodology on both sides of the fence to really test the efficacy of those fences.
And the best bit, herping with your mates.
Yeah, exactly.
That's it. Yeah, absolutely. And the other part too, it'll probably be at 2 different field sites as well. So I'm pretty much going to spend, I think, most of, what are we talking, September, October through to Jan, pretty much in the field for the most part. Just going through and checking tin and tiles and switching out SD cards, walking around and looking for things. So it should be a whole lot of fun.
So are you planning only doing it in Victoria, or are you thinking about doing it at 2 sites, say, i.e. maybe Mount Rothwell or something, maybe Scotia or Yucamara or something like that?
Yeah, so it'll be 2 Ojanada properties. So we're tossing up. Mount Rothwell will definitely be one of them, just because that's the easiest as far as it's 20 minutes down the road from me. So field work-wise, that's nice and easy.
Yep.
The second one we haven't quite decided yet. We're still working out some kinks in the process. The one that we wanted to do may not quite work out the way that the neighbouring properties are run. It makes it a bit harder for us to do field work on those. It's because the outside of the fence section, some of them have got nature covenants on them and things like that, so we can't really do too much as far as setting up camera traps or tile grids. So we might have to look at one of the other properties, which has got a few more options to play around with there. So it'll either be southwest Victoria based, or it'll be Mount Rothwell and one further north.
Awesome.
Sounds good.
Yeah, so that'll keep me nice and busy for a while.
How's the keeping animal front going? Are you still keeping anything these days, or are you almost completely stopped keeping now?
Yeah, so I've still got a few bits and pieces. I, funnily enough, had a clutch of Murray Darling carpets pop out the other day that I was not quite anticipating. So that was a bit of a surprise. I say not anticipating. I deliberately put them together, but I was hoping that the boy was going to go over one of the other girls, not the one that he did in the end. But that's okay.
I was going to say, do I need to give you the birds and the bees talk? Or?
No. Repeat pairing is not necessarily a bad thing. They did pretty well last time, and the babies weren't too bad to get going. So hopefully the same happens again this time around.
Yeah,
definitely.
But otherwise everything else is outside pretty much. So.
Wow, you've had a cracker of a year. Well done.
Yeah, it's been nice and busy. Certainly wouldn't have it any other way, although it will be nice to, I think, have a bit of a rest now and just wait and see what comes from all of the work and all that fun stuff.
I think too, the year's flying. Like, we've all been that busy that you blink and a couple of months have gone, you blink again and here's December.
Yeah, 100%. I was talking to one of my friends a couple of days ago, and we were going, what our plans were at the start of the year for this year compared to what we ended up doing. And I looked through and went, I've ticked off a few things, but gee, some of these got lost so early on.
Yeah, I'd agree with you there.
One of them was planning on going on a camping trip like once a month. And I just looked at that and went, that lasted, I think, a month. And then and it just went to shit from there.
I guess at least you got one in.
That's it. And I was sort of trying to make up for it a little bit now that uni's done. But yeah, I looked at that and went, wow. I mean, look, the idea was there, but the execution just didn't happen.
Yeah, it's insane, isn't it? And then you get to the point where you need a break.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, thank you very much for talking to us, Josh. We look forward to hearing more about uni and what you accomplish.
No worries. Thanks for having me.
Merry Christmas.
Anytime, Josh. Merry Christmas.
Thank you. Merry Christmas to you guys as well.
Thank you. Adam, We did an episode earlier with you with the Reptile Society presidents, and unfortunately I haven't been able to get it up, but I aim to. Just like to check in and see how you're doing. How's the VHS going?
Yeah, really good, really good. So we had our last meeting of the year late last month with Ty Park from Iguanaland in Florida. Yeah, it was a great night. Ty told us all about how he built the park, and then obviously went through a heap of the different animals and stuff that he had there and showed us photos of breeding them and the hatchlings, and it was a really, really good night.
I heard from a few of your members that it was an absolutely awesome night and they were really glad they got to go.
Yeah, having an international speaker as part of a regular meeting is probably not the norm, but we were lucky to make it work this time around.
You've had some big speakers over the years.
Yeah, we've had some great international speakers, but also some awesome local speakers. We try to mix it up as much as we can with, I suppose, different people talking about different topics to make it as interesting and as appealing to as many different people as possible.
Yeah, well, what you're doing works very well.
Yeah, thanks. We also signed a contract with a new venue for our expo for next year, which is pretty exciting. We've been at the showgrounds for a while, but unfortunately things didn't work out with the showgrounds anymore, so we're heading to Caulfield Racecourse.
Oh, wow.
So a brand new venue for us, and I'm sure it'll work just as well as any other venue out there. So close to public transport, just off the freeway, so it should still work really, really well. We're really happy with the new venue, and hopefully we can keep building on what we think is already a good expo.
It's a damn good expo. Have you got any plans for Christmas for the VHS?
We had our last meeting of the year in November. We know that everyone is busy come December, between work functions and family functions. There's not enough weekends and evenings in December as it is. So we do try to keep our last meeting of the year late November, early December for that reason.
And the year flew.
It certainly did, yeah.
Felt like I blinked and we're in December.
Yeah, and obviously the VHS is run by volunteers that all have normal full-time jobs that pay the bills, so yeah, it's a crazy time of year for everyone. So,
what are you doing for Christmas?
So a few years back, we decided to split Christmas and do Christmas Eve with my in-laws and Christmas Day with my side of the family.
Yep.
Which makes life a little bit easier now. There's no rushing around trying to get from one place to the next place to the next place.
And all that food that you're expected to eat.
Yeah. There's no younger kids on my wife's side of the family, so it's a little bit easier to do a sort of a relaxed, more Christmas Eve dinner at home with my wife's side of the family, and then Christmas morning get up and have some brekkie with the kids, and then head into Melbourne to have lunch with my side of the family. I'm sure I'll get a phone call from my dad asking me where we are at 12 o'clock on the dot, because that's generally what happens when Dad says we're having lunch at 12 o'clock. He's ringing asking where I am. So.
Making room for all that food.
Yeah. How about you and Scott? What are you up to for Christmas?
Just the usual. We do a barbecue, like a big barbecue brekkie with a ton of bacon because I'm a fat bitch. And
sounds good to me.
Yeah, and we just kick back and chill. Scott usually has his nose in whatever latest reptile book he's been given, and we just basically go into a food coma.
Sounds like a good Christmas to me.
Yeah, it's nice and relaxing, that's for sure.
And I think that's the thing, isn't it? Like it's great for the younger kids, and my kids are a little bit older now, but it's certainly the more relaxed style of Christmas, my preference.
But having said that, I miss little kids wrapping paper everywhere, although Brun has a paper fetish, so I'm sure that will happen anyway. But when they're all excited and they tear into the presents and you're up at freaking 4 a.m. because they were that excited they couldn't sleep, and I do miss that.
Yeah, my kids are now at that stage where I have to go and wake them up.
But yeah, it's good to be able to decompress a bit after a year of work and you with the society and that.
Yeah, then straight after Christmas we'll get stuck into expo stuff, and obviously it'll take a little bit extra planning this time around because it's a new venue. We can't just roll the same floor plan that we've rolled out for the last 4 or 5 expos and just add names to a list. It's a whole new floor plan for us, so we'll get stuck in straight after Chrissy and New Year's, I suppose, and really start trying to plan the new event. And in all our meetings we've been a little bit more proactive this year, and I've almost locked away all our guest speakers for next year as well, so we'll make some announcements early Jan around those speakers as well.
We look forward to seeing who's on the list.
I've got one more to fill.
One more
meeting spot to fill.
No rest for the wicked, eh?
Nah, not at all. Not at all. And then we'll also do the pet show here in Melbourne as well. So the pet show will be the first weekend of March, and then our expo will be the 22nd of March.
Awesome. We will make sure we put those dates up on our Nature For You page as well. Thank you so much for checking back with us. We hope you guys have a very Merry Christmas, and we look forward to seeing what the VHS does next year.
Yeah, awesome. Can't wait to get into it next year, and hope you and Scott have a good Christmas too.
We will. Hope you guys do too.
No worries.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
With us now, we have Joanne Payne. We interviewed Joanne Payne early on in the year when we did an episode with 3 presidents from various reptile societies. I just haven't been able to unjumble that one, but it's in the works. Jo, how are you, darling?
Not too bad, thanks, Tom. How are you?
Good, thank you. A bit warm, but, can't have everything.
Oh, I've got a cool change down here, so it's good.
Oh, rub it in.
22 degrees.
Oh. So what's been happening since we caught up last?
Actually, not a lot. Just been doing the normal business with the Reptile Society. We've moved our meetings to bi-monthly just to sort of get people in who are a bit more not as local, getting some variety from around the country. So we've had yourself come down to do a chat. We had Steve Wilson come down to do a chat. So it's been really good.
Nice. It's hard getting people lining up with your schedule and theirs.
Yeah.
And I guess new blood, for lack of a better term.
Yeah, well, especially since we run our meetings on a Monday night generally. So that's been a little bit difficult as well. We all work. It gets a bit hard.
Yeah.
It's been a lot harder since COVID to get bums on seats. So, yeah, sort of COVID killed the Reptile Society meetings. But we're still sort of getting probably 40 to 50 in a meeting.
Do you think that's because everyone got used to the Zooms and that sort of thing and don't feel like they want to travel now?
I'm not sure. I've tried to figure out what's going on with it, but I'm really not sure. I would have thought that people would have flocked back to it after COVID sort of finished, but it hasn't been the same. I think, maybe more online. More people are getting their information online, unfortunately, rather than joining reptile societies.
It's hard, right? You want to sort of balance how often you want to have meetings so you get the maximum amount of people attend, because if you have them too frequently, it's like, I'll just catch it at the next meeting. At the same time, too, you want the meetings to be frequent enough that there's a reason to be a member of the Herp Society in the first place as well, and to keep that camaraderie going and all that sort of stuff. So it's a fine line that you have to tread, and more power to you for doing it.
It's also not cheap to run the Reptile Society either, so we sort of have to do the best for our members that we can.
Yep.
And if that means sometimes pushing meetings out to bi-monthly, well, that'll be something that we'll do.
I think too, after COVID, everyone was like, fuck, I want to live again. I want to do this. I want to go here. I want to go there. And I think now we're at the stage where we've forgotten what it was like to be pent up and how much excitement we had at just doing simple little things that we'd always taken for granted.
Yeah, that might be it. I don't know. We've sort of trialled bi-monthly this year. I think we're going to trial it again next year. We're going to keep it going next year, because you've got to remember as well, reptile societies are run by volunteers.
Yeah.
We all have full-time jobs. We all have children. We all have families. We all have other hobbies that we do.
Yeah.
So it's quite difficult when we haven't got other people sort of standing up as well. It's sort of like looking at it, the same people are doing the same things.
And unfortunately, that's a byproduct of any volunteer organisation. You see the same people in the same clubs for decades at times, and they literally carry it. And then eventually they start to become a little bit tired or burn out over it. And when they ask for help, oh, no, I'm too busy. Everyone's too busy always, it seems. So it's certainly a tough thing.
Hats off to you, Jo.
Hats off to all the volunteers, for sure.
You're talking about those decades of people being there. This is decades of knowledge for people who are joining societies. There is literally hundreds of years of experience with keeping reptiles just in our society, let alone the other ones. Yep. So a new keeper getting into this hobby, there's nothing better than they can do than joining a reptile society, and there's always such good benefits. Some of them do free entry into Australian Reptile Park. For us with the IRS, we have a free trip up to Symbio every year. That would cost, if you were to go on your own, over $100, and you get in there for free. To me, it's a no-brainer. You've got a wealth of knowledge there. You've got access at your fingertips to that knowledge and help. Everyone's always so willing to help in the reptile societies, and getting accurate knowledge where it's not just someone on Facebook, a 2-minute keeper.
And even if the people in the societies themselves don't directly know, they know somebody who will know, and they can always link you up with that person as well.
People all the time message me going, hey, Jo, do you know where I can get green tree frogs? Hey, Jo, where can I get some Cunningham skinks? Hey, Jo, do you know a breeder for this? It's that knowledge that we've all got.
The other thing I was just going to quickly say, when we were down there, we had the opportunity to go and have a look at Symbio. Jesus, hasn't that place improved? It was a great little park 4 years ago, the last time we were there, and the amount of stuff that Matt, Kai and Jared and co from there have done to that place is absolutely insane. It's fantastic. Really.
And they're doing more at the moment. They're building a new Cunningham's enclosure. We've got to go and see it next weekend. But yeah, we work very closely with Symbio. They're a fantastic partnership with the IRS. We're doing another fundraiser in January for the Bathurst Eelis Dragon, for the Eelis Dragon Alliance. So that's a really good thing that we've been able to help them with. So I think last year we raised over $10,000.
Wow, congratulations. That's an awesome effort.
But we better have a discussion after this and see what we can do to maybe help out.
Yeah, so we've got that coming up. I think it's in January. They're waiting for me to get back because they're so nice. Jared, I had a chat with Jared the other day and he's like, we'll wait because I go on a herp trip every year for 2 weeks over Christmas. So he's like, we'll just wait until you get back. We'll do it then.
Once he gets back and then we go from there. But yeah, we'll certainly throw something in there to help out the Society and the Eelis Dragon Alliance for sure.
Awesome. Thank you very much.
For sure.
Anytime.
At the moment, you've caught me in a really good time. We have been contacted by national parks in the past few weeks about a change to expo licence arrangements, which again have been done without consultation. So I'm working closely with ACA as well, Animal Care Australia, to sort out what the hell's going on so that we can actually keep having our expos, and especially for us, our show. So you've both been to our show where we have the show animals that are judged. They basically want to stop that.
Not only do we do that to give people some understanding too in regards to the showing exercise, when we went through and we did the judging on those.
Yeah, you judged one year, didn't you? Yeah.
You had herpetoculturists, you had veterinarians, and you had other experienced herpos as well that were the judges. It wasn't like it was people that didn't know what they were talking about. Not only was the standard of animals exceptionally high, but the temporary enclosures that those animals are sitting in for a few hours at a time were clean, they were suitable for the animals weren't too cramped. The welfare of the animals is well and truly into consideration.
Paramount. It's paramount to us, the welfare of the animals, being able to educate the public around proper ways to keep these animals.
Yeah,
most definitely.
We are actually seeking legal advice with this time because we'd like to work with the government departments, but when the government departments aren't listening to people that do have hundreds and hundreds of years of experience with these animals on enclosure sizes, etc., etc. Like for one thing that happened in New South Wales was enclosure sizes that were supposed to be a guideline. They've snuck it in the last few years that it's now mandatory. So that was fantastic, but now they're trying to hit the expos, and I don't know, it seems to me that animal rights are getting their paws into this.
Right.
And if we don't start fighting, we are going to lose an ability to be able to house these animals, to be able to keep animals. And I'm not just talking about reptiles.
I think that the one thing should be considered is that associations such as the ACA, people really do need to get behind those various organisations that are there to assist in lobbying in regards to legislation and laws and stuff like that come out. Because if we don't have those bodies and people don't support those bodies, there is no funds in the kitty to help hire lawyers and stuff like that to actually have legal discussions in the right way with these bodies. It's as simple as that. So
simple as that. The bonus is as well, if you are actually a member of a reptile society in New South Wales, 5 of the 6 reptile societies are a member of ACA. So when the group joins, then all the members are covered. So if you end up having national parks turn up on your doorstep and saying you've got an enclosure that's 1 centimetre too small, and people might laugh at that, but it does happen, then you've got that backing that can go in to help you. Got that support.
I think in fairness though too, there is a requirement to have a reasonable discussion about minimum sizes of enclosures and minimum standards of care. However, applying the methodology for mammals or birds or fish or anything else for that matter doesn't necessarily carry over to reptile and amphibians. So reptiles and amphibians are very specialised, as the listeners would know, and as a result, you do have some different considerations in regards to suitable caging and suitable husbandry for those species. That's not to say that the animals should be housed in enclosures that are too small, that are outside their temperature or anything like that. Obviously, you need to maintain the animals in an ethical way. It just doesn't necessarily mean that the size of said enclosures that some bodies have introduced doesn't necessarily correlate with what is accepted, standard, verified practices that have gone through ethical considerations for many decades.
Yeah, best practices. Who wouldn't want to work with people that actually do this day in, day out, 4 years? They're the best people to be able to chat to about this.
And what a lot of people don't realise is that's just a first step. That'll set precedent.
Yes.
You then lose birds. You then start to lose cats and dogs, etc., etc. It's not just, oh, it's a reptile, that's someone else's problem. It's not like that at all. And we'll round it up with a how are you personally?
I have just finished a trimester of full-time uni, full-time work, plus all this stuff. So I'm looking forward to Christmas and going herping.
So don't call you, is that what you're saying?
No, I won't be able to be contacted. I'm going way out, I think, now because of all the flooding. Thanks, Queensland. We're going to go around Alice Springs and probably the Barclay to try and go and get some herbs.
Oh, we knew you were coming. We altered the weather.
Thanks for that. We now can't go at the Birdsville track.
Oh, you're going to be incredibly sad when you're running across the Barclay seeing all those incredible snakes, I'm sure.
Alice Springs, go and see if we can see a thorny or two.
Just quickly, what's your number one hope for the trip for you to see?
Oh, bloody Spencer's.
Okay.
We keep Spencer's. We've never seen a live wild one. We've got all this, go out to the black soil, we've got 2 collates, first run out there, you know. But can we find a bloody Spencer's? No.
If it makes you feel any better, that sounds like me with an adder.
I saw an adder the other night, so I'll be there at Christmas, hopefully, if the floods don't.
All right, mate.
Okay, thank you so much, guys.
It was good talking to you. Take care.
Okay, thank you.
Merry Christmas.
You too. Bye.
Bye.
G'day, Elizabeth. You were in one of our earlier episodes with the Reptile Society presidents. How have you been?
Not too bad. Been busy. Had a few clutches of snakes this year and organising the expos and stuff.
Excellent. So
what did you breed?
Got a clutch of green tree pythons and some cow pythons.
Congratulations.
Is this your first clutch of green trees?
No, my second.
Excellent.
So how many are you holding back?
7.
See, everybody does it, babe.
Yep, 7 out of 22.
Oh, well, you did show restraint. There was quite a few more there to be held back. So how's everything going with the expos?
Yeah, it's going good. For next year, we decided to do 4 expos. So we're doing Brisbane, Sunshine Coast, Rockhampton and Cairns.
You don't like sleep?
No, I like rest, apparently.
How are you going to go with the logistical challenge of Rockhampton and Cairns?
Rockhampton's not too far away, so that's all right. Cairns is the big one, but I've booked off like half the year for work, so I'll be going up there for a few days beforehand, getting everything set up and stuff. And the main thing that I'm struggling with at the moment is up there's not that many breeders compared to down here. Mm-hmm. So getting people on board is a bit harder.
Yep.
But the public presence has been huge for Rockhampton and Cairns so far.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, so like at the moment, there's more people interested in Rockhampton than there is in Brisbane right now.
We've let the team down, have we?
Which is a bit surprising. Same with Cairns. So
I think you'll find that because when it's happened, it's been in Brisbane previously.
Yeah, and I think obviously like the population down here is way bigger than up there. And I think that the reptile hobby up there, they're different kinds of people compared to down here, and it's going to be the first one up there. So the first one's always the hardest.
Yeah.
Are they polite up there? Is that what they are when you say different kinds of people?
I think they just kind of keep to themselves. There's not a whole lot of people up there. I know a few breeders up there, but not many of them want to actually attend an expo and, I guess, talk to people. I found, especially in Cairns, we're doing reptiles and aquariums up in Cairns and Rockhampton, so the aquarium presence up there is really big, mainly in the marine side of things.
Yeah.
We're getting a few vendors for that. But yeah, it's definitely interesting doing more than just one. It's a lot more work.
Oh, God, yeah. And I hear there's good news for you in February as well.
Yes, I'm getting married in February, right before the expos.
You certainly know how to stress, woman.
Yep.
So does that mean you're having a honeymoon beforehand or afterwards?
Beforehand. So we get married on the 11th, and then pretty much days after, I got to feed all my animals, water them. I've been training up my little sister to take care of the animals while I'm gone. We're only going for 2 weeks, but we're going to Japan. I wanted to always go to Japan, so going there for 2 weeks and then coming back, and then I've got like a week and a half before the Rockhampton Expo.
We just met 4 Japanese herpers that have just come over, and one of them's got pet shops and stuff like that, but they're dedicated to doing carpet pythons and stuff like that. It was quite interesting to talk to them.
Lovely people.
Yeah, I'm really keen to go and see some of the shops over there, and there's what they call it, the dinosaur capital, and I'm staying there for a bit because I love my dinosaurs. So I'm very excited about that, but all the cities and stuff doesn't really faze me, all the other sightseeing stuff. I just said to Reno, my partner, I was like, no, we're going herping over there, and we're going to this dinosaur place. I'll be happy.
You got your country, I get the destinations.
After this, we'll link you up with the guys from Reptiles Tokyo, so you can talk to them and go from there.
Yeah, that'll be awesome. Thank you.
All right, well, it's been lovely catching up, sweetheart. Was there anything else you wanted to share with us?
No, not really.
Have you got any dates for these expos at the moment, or
yes,
are they still tentative?
Shout them out.
Shout them out.
So Rockhampton is the first expo. It's Reptiles and Aquarium. It's the 15th and 16th of March. And the next one is Sunshine Coast Reptile and Aquarium Expo. It's the 12th and 13th of April. And then the biggest is the Brisbane Reptile Expo, and it is the 26th and 27th of April. And then Cairns is Lucky Last, and it is on the 31st of May to the 1st of June.
Wow, you got yourself a big year.
Yep.
Well, thanks for catching up with us, sweetheart. Have a very Merry Christmas.
If we don't see you before the expo, we'll see you at the Brisbane Expo, which we'll be vending at.
Awesome. No worries then. Thank you.
Take care.
G'day guys, we're sitting here with Dan and Stu from Sunshine Coast Snake Catchers 24/7. What's been happening, guys, since we last spoke?
Hey, there's been a bit going on as snake catchers are always busy this time of year. It's obviously the end of breeding season now, so that was quite hectic the last 3 or 4 months. We've also been filming another couple of seasons of the TV show as well, which has been good. That all went pretty smoothly as it can for filming, but everybody had a good time and caught plenty of snakes and plenty of wild catches, which I'm sure the TV audiences will enjoy.
I took from that there's a story there or two.
Yes, a couple of close calls, no doubt. A couple of close calls with cameramen too, but no, it was a good sort of 8 weeks straight of filming, and yeah, we all enjoyed it for the most part.
Sounds good.
That's really good because everyone we've spoken to has had something positive happen, something good's happen. They've had a good year, so I'm stoked to see that you guys are doing the same.
Yeah, I think it's all been pretty positive from our end. In our industry, I guess, you have your days where they're pretty rough. Usually they're rough because you're too busy. We can't complain too much, but we try and do what we can when the calls are rushing in and stressed people are on the other line. But, yeah, we do our best in stressful situations.
Yeah.
You guys would certainly have to be probably the largest snake catching consortium, certainly in southeast Queensland, but if not the whole country. What sort of challenges does that bring? I'm assuming you get some interesting call-outs each year. What's the most interesting call you've had since we spoke to you last?
I think for me, I'd probably say it wasn't actually during filming. It was like a week before, and the guys were devastated when I told them about it. But within a space of 24 hours, I caught 3 huge male red-bellied black snakes and a little female at the one place.
Yeah.
I caught 3 of them at once at the first visit, and yeah, it was just nuts. It was one of those situations where I'm holding a snake, and it was probably one of the biggest red-bellies I've ever seen, and then next minute, old mate, the homeowner, is yelling out to me, and other one's crossing the driveway. So it was just one of those jobs where you just, if the camera crew were there, it would have been one of the best things I'd ever filmed, but it was good fun for me to just run around chasing after red-bellied black snakes.
Sounds like that female was putting out the real good oil, eh?
She was. She definitely was. She had a few big fellas chasing after her.
What about yourself, Dan? What did you get up to, mate?
Oh, mate, I've been pretty busy, but it's been good. My favourite call was I got a call from a really panicked lady who's like I've got a giant goanna in my toilet. And so I was kind of expecting just a medium-sized lace monitor, and I got there and I lifted up the bowl, and it was actually just an adult major skink, which we don't obviously see them very often. See them a lot on walks. But yeah, grabbing, I don't know what, it stuck out of my brain, but I just thought I was laughing a lot, and I thought, laughter's always the best medicine. Nice, beautiful major skink, and they let me let it go back in the backyard, so they were glad.
So what you're telling me, mate, is you let the free arrive free.
Yeah, that's it. That's it. Yeah. Actually, they're very underrated lizards, aren't they?
Yeah.
And I feel even people on the Sunshine Coast, where in areas they can be quite common. Most people have no idea what they are. So that was brown lizard in the toilet. I think you can't really beat that. And obviously, the social media pages love that one.
100%. I'm sure there was a few people had a few laughs with that.
Having said that, I've been bitten by them. We used to keep them, and ours were, shall we say, quite friendly with their mouth. And imagine that in your bum, it would hurt.
Yeah,
I wouldn't want it under my toilet seat.
I always think one of my favourite animals I remember we had this beautiful big pair of lamb mullets at Reptile Park. They're such cool critters, whether it's major skink or lamb mullet. They're very underrated lizards.
Definitely.
But besides that, just making sure Stu's hair doesn't fall out anymore, and we're good.
Have you managed to shower in peace since we spoke to you last?
Oh, I forgot about that. Yeah, I've had a couple of nice showers.
Good stuff.
I see, Stu, you've been really busy, mate. You've been doing some renovations up your way. It looks like that's all said and done now. Is that giving you a little bit more mental relaxation of an evening, or are you still going like a cut cat?
Oh, yeah, that was nearly the end of me, to be honest. Ended up having to go on a bloody 5-night retreat because of that. Nearly ruined me. But good to finally get it done. Yeah, it took 12 months, took way too long. But no, we're super stoked with how it's turned out, and the bookings are starting to come in. We even got a big booking today, which is exciting. We've had a few people stay there. It's been nothing but positive feedback. But with any big house, big renovation like that, there's always ongoing works, and we're sort of learning as we go how much we have to put in terms of time and effort to maintain the property, which is a lot more than what we thought. But yeah, no, we're starting to get, I think I've already got like 15 or 16 bookings for next year already. So yeah, it was quite the journey, and I wasn't around much, and I'm very thankful to Dan and the rest of the team who basically ran the business while I wasn't around for 12 months. But it's good to be back catching snakes and get back into it, being in the office and being around the crew.
Well, don't be shy. Tell everyone where they can go for a nice, relaxing break.
Yeah. Well, it's up at Montville. It's called Monty's house. It sleeps around 20 to 25 people. So there's a little tiny home with it on the sides. It's right in the middle of the hinterland, right near the wedding venue. So we're getting a lot of retreat people stay there. We're getting a lot of people who are going to weddings, like family groups who are sort of teaming up and staying there. But we had a hens party there on the weekend, so that was, I'm sure, a bit of fun. A lot of glitter left around when we had to clean up the next day. But anyway, I'm sure there's plenty of stories to tell from that weekend. But
I was about to say, it sounds like there could be some innuendo about the old name of the place as well, no doubt, with all the hens nights.
So, but no, we've got Instagram and Facebook and that for it now, and it's sort of slowly growing, and more people are hearing about it. But get in touch if you'd like somewhere to stay with big groups or whatever.
We'll make sure we've got it in the show notes as well, mate. And that's great.
Awesome.
Excellent. Is there anything else you guys would like to throw out?
Well, thanks for having us on again.
Thanks for coming back.
We love chatting to you guys. Hopefully we'll catch up at some point. But yeah, that was pretty much it from me. Just have a safe, merry, happy, festive season, everyone. Merry Christmas. Yeah, and I guess just to all the followers out there listening, that snakes don't take the holidays off. So don't think you're a snake catcher after 12 beers on Chrissy Day. Give your local snake catcher a call and leave it to the professionals.
Very good advice.
It's good when you got a few snake people out there that are teetotalers, so that's always good.
But no, thanks again for having us, guys. We've loved contributing to it. So
loved having you on.
I'm sure speaking to you guys again in the future.
Definitely. Thanks so much, guys. We hope you and your families have a very Merry Christmas.
See you later.
Thank you, guys.
Cheers.
Bye. Bye.
Gus, thanks for coming back to us. It's been a while. Oh, hey. It has. You've obviously been busy. What have you been up to since we talked last?
A lot of chasing birds. Most of the second half of this year was wildlife tours focusing on showing people birds around Australia.
Nice.
A little bit of herping in there, but there's a lot more bird industry in Australia, so...
And if birding pays the bills, go with it. Right. Yeah. So you're not at home much? You've been working away?
Yeah, I haven't been home much at all, but I'm just finishing up for the year now, so it's almost time to relax.
Almost,
yeah.
Almost. So what are you planning for Christmas?
Not too much, just at home, catch up with my mum and brother and sister. We'll get together. We usually try and get together at Christmas. It happens some years, but not others. So hopefully that'll all happen this year and just go down the beach a lot.
Nice.
It's our usual thing for summer. Not a lot. Nothing too exciting. There's no little kids running around, so it's pretty relaxed.
So you haven't been here for a while. It's been raining.
Yeah, the weather's certainly been funny all over Australia this year. There's been rain all year in Cairns and it's been raining up in Townsville, and Melbourne's hot, cold as it always is. So
yeah.
It's hard to know what's going on.
Well, we hope you do get time to relax over Christmas. Thank you so much for joining us.
Not a problem at all. Hopefully it's all gone well for you with podcasts and lots of interesting stories out there.
Oh, yeah. We've had some cracker guests on, so you being one of them.
Thank you.
Have a Merry Christmas, Gus, and hopefully we'll catch up again soon.
No, perfect. Sounds good, Ty.
Take care.
Good luck for the new year.
Thank you. You too. Bye.
Bye.
How are you, Kim? How are you, Riley?
Very well, thank you.
We're good, thanks.
So what's been happening with you guys since we caught up with you last?
We're pretty busy these days. Riley, do you want to update first on you?
Sure. So I got into the trade level keeper pool for Zoos Victoria recently.
Congratulations.
Thank you. It's a pretty big goal of mine for this year, and I was pretty stoked to get through it. And then just recently started a contract at Hillsville Sanctuary working on mammals and threatened species there, which is pretty cool.
Oh, I'm so stoked for you, dude.
You'll be an absolute asset to the team out there, mate. Well done.
Oh, I appreciate it. And it's a bit of a different challenge working with mammals and reptiles for a bit. The change is pretty good.
That's awesome. That's really good news.
Yeah, so working with koalas, echidnas, and mountain pygmy possums.
Well done.
When you say threatened species, are you doing some of the herps as well, mate? Are you looking at Prayalthus and Guthinger and all that stuff, or just mammals?
No, just the mammals for now. Hopefully I can have a bit of a tour of the facility soon. Trying to tee that up at the moment. But yeah, for now, just happy with the mammals and just enjoying learning different things.
Awesome.
Awesome news.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's really good. He's able to diversify some of his experience a little bit.
Yeah, for sure. Make him a better keeper the whole way round.
Oh, for sure. Make him work on more species and different taxa. I think it's amazing.
Hell yeah.
Is he going to be able to eat more veggies because he has to prep more veggies these days?
No, he bloody bakes bickies. He's mentioned me. He's like, I come in on a Monday and I bake bickies for the possum. So, that's what he does. There's no vegetables involved as far as I know.
You get half and I get half.
Sharing's caring.
I must admit, when we were trapping for Burmese, the mountain pygmy possums, we were using peanut butter balls, and they do smell pretty good when you're putting those balls into the traps for them.
Yeah, for sure. I love the peanut butter. Like, one of the enrichments I did recently was just smear peanut butter on pretty much everything I could find. And then the next day, you just review the footage and you just watch them just go nuts for it.
It's almost like mammal crack.
I was thinking it, but I didn't want to say it.
You're amongst friends, Kim. Let it out.
That and the listening community as well. Hey, that's all right.
And what have you been up to, Kim?
Scott and I managed to tee up a trip for my last field trip for my PhD to see the pygmies, which was awesome. And it's very sad for me to have finished my field work. And I don't know if it was the best decision. It's an interesting decision. I got a full-time position at RMIT University while I'm still a full-time student finishing my PhD. So it's an interesting 6 months while I finish the writing up while trying to work in a research lab as well.
Wow. Hats off to you. I couldn't do it. Congratulations,
I'm not sure how I'm
though.
doing it. Yeah, thank you.
Less wine, more Nutella?
Yeah, a bit of both. I think it's mainly caffeine. I think that is purely everything.
Oh, that's awesome, though. Well done.
I'm proud of it.
Yeah, I am too. That's awesome news.
And we
together, Riley and I published our first paper, which was cool. It was really nice to show Riley the process and get him involved, and so he gets to be a co-author. So I'm very proud of him.
Yeah, it's a pretty awesome paper. Can you tell us a little bit about the paper that came out?
Thank you. And thank you guys again for helping us with it. It's on, very briefly, it's only a small paper, keratophagy on sand swimmers. Keratophagy is essentially where the animal will eat its own shed scales. And so we observed it in our captive northern narrow-banded sand swimmers. And we looked up the 6 main hypotheses as to why they may engage in keratophagy. And we wrote a whole lot on why, but we thought it was most likely the predator avoidance hypothesis. Sand swimmers are trying to limit their detectability from other predators, and so they may consume their shed scales. But there could be other reasons. There could be vitamins missing from their diet or something they're trying to supplement.
It could also be just lack of waste. You've got to really watch them carefully to make sure that they don't become overweight. Their fat stores are something incredible as a group. And so it might just be that they don't want to waste any nutrients that they might be able to reuse because they don't know when they're getting the next feed.
Yeah, unfortunately, there's not been a lot of research into what the actual biological makeup and nutritional value of the shed scales are. So, yeah, at this point, it's a lot of hypotheses, but it definitely could be something like that. It's probably a combination of things, like particularly we've been keeping them for several years, but we don't observe it consistently over time either. It's probably a whole lot of things that contribute to why they do it. But it was just cool because it's never been observed in Eremia at all. So we were the first ones, at least, to publish on it.
Did you notice it in both males and females, or was it only in one gender?
We don't really see too many shed skins in the enclosure generally, so it's probably happening with both, but I'd probably say that the male more so than the females.
Could it be one male or one individual is eating the skin off others?
Yeah, it may be happening as well. Like the lizards just generally do that. If they're together, they see a bit of flap skin and they'll just bite onto it. But the images we've got in our paper is from the video I took of the actual individual tearing it off itself.
Yep. That's
what makes me think most likely it's just self-grooming.
Congratulations, guys. You've had a cracker of a year.
Yeah, it's been pretty big. We're both achieving pretty well at the moment. It's been a good end of the year, really.
So what are you thinking about doing for 2025? Have you got any goals set for that? Kim, I'm assuming, is finishing off this PhD.
Yeah, as long as you can all call me doctor, I'm happy. That's the goal.
So we should have time for a catch-up 25, Kim?
Not until late 2025 and after I hibernate from my lack of sleep.
That's all right. We've got a book due.
Yeah, and then we catch up and then hopefully a postdoc.
Excellent.
Yes.
What about yourself, Riley?
I think just further my career at Zoos Victoria and just see where that leads. Pretty stoked to be in it. So, yeah, just want to work hard and see where that takes me.
Awesome. That's fantastic news.
And we've been breeding some reptiles recently as well, so I'd like to expand and have some success with some of our other species that we've got. We just got some Amia eggs, which was exciting.
Nice.
The hatch, well, any day now, really. And then I think she's gravid again, and I think our velvet gecko's gravid, king skinks, tree skinks. So there's a few things that hopefully we'll get some babies this year and
more papers.
More papers.
I heard in celebration Kim was allowing you more elapids. Is that true?
I bloody hope so.
I don't remember this.
My King Brown needs a very special friend. Surprise, another King Brown.
Well, you know, at the end of the day, right, keeping king skinks, you've got like chainsaws with legs there. I'd be probably much safer keeping King Browns than king skinks.
So, yeah, you King Skinks.
The only time I've ever used a set of bite-proof gloves to handle an alpha reptile is with king skinks.
And yet Riley just makes me go in there and he's like, just grab it. And he just looks at me until I grab it.
I must say, I use my bare hands, honey.
I don't care. If that's your stupid fault, that's your stupid fault.
Hey, I wear that scar with pride.
I can think enough. I like keeping my skin where the skin's meant to be.
Yeah, I get that every time you come back from the bush. Yeah,
no, that's a fair point. I said I like. I didn't say I was successful.
Yeah.
We'll have to get Ty to come out and see the pygmies soon too.
I think so.
Definitely, I'd love to.
Especially now that there's one named after you.
Yes, okay. Pull on the heartstrings. Thank you. Yeah, I'd love to. It's just with Brun being so clingy, we're trying to gradually build up a bit of independence with him.
Slow and steady process, I imagine.
Yeah. Well, I got Scott out of his clinginess, so there's hope yet.
We just found out that one of our cats is, well, we think epileptic.
And he also has anxiety as well.
Yeah, he does.
Wow.
So both of us being away from home recently has been a bit of a tester. Like, we're setting up cameras everywhere so we can check on him through the day.
Poor bugger.
He's doing all right, but we can understand how you feel. I raised that cat while working from home for over half a decade, so it's,
Yeah, a rude shock now.
Yeah, the stress from it can stress him out and he can get sick from it, but he's doing okay.
Is there a possibility you could use one of those auto feeders that links to your phone and then you could put a treat in it or something like that? So if you see that he's starting to struggle or something like that, you could hit the button on your phone and it would open up the auto feeder so you could have something to eat.
It's a great idea, but unfortunately we have a second cat that's fatso. So that's a little bit of the issue. The other one's quite fat.
So I would assume that your cat's are microchipped. Would that be right?
Yeah, I think you can get them where our cats are microchipped and that they automatically open, like when they scan the microchip.
Correct, yeah. They've got a Trovan reader internally onto those things. So unless the right cat has stuck his head in the thing, there will be no treat issued.
I wouldn't put it past the fat cat hitting the other cat to go and get some food.
Nudging him in, you reckon, and then whipping it out real quick.
That would be having a seizure on the floor, and the other cat would just drag it over to his bowl.
Enterprising little shit.
I don't care how that microchip gets scanned, but it will get scanned.
So do you guys have some news for us about what you've been working on?
We haven't stopped working, essentially. It's been a blur.
Podcast after podcast after podcast.
Podcasts and writing and photos.
Photos.
And then we've had 3 or 4 international visitors as well.
Wow, that's cool.
We've got other people's books that we're reviewing right now as well. Handed some back.
And I've reviewed 4 papers so far in the last couple of months. It's been
very busy, yeah.
It's been busy.
I don't know. I feel like I've blinked and the year's just gone. I can't believe we're in December.
Yeah.
I know, it's so close to Christmas.
Yeah, what did I get? They've both gone very quiet. Nothing, obviously.
Excellent. All right, guys. Well, thank you so much.
Yeah, it was so lovely talking to you, and I'm so stoked you had such good news to share with everybody.
Thank you. It's been great being back and having a chat.
Yeah, thank you for catching up with us.
Thank you, guys. Ash, how you doing?
Good. How are you guys going?
Good, thank you. It's been a while.
Feels like it, doesn't it? The way this year's gone, you blink and it's almost over.
Yeah, I can't believe how fast.
Especially when Ty's driving.
Wow.
I don't know the way you drive, Scott. I think you're the one who gets there faster.
I'm just the compliant wife.
Don't go there, Ty. We all know that you have your little skeletons in the closet.
Wow. So Ash is in fine form tonight.
Certainly is.
So what's been happening since we spoke last?
Oh, geez. It's just been absolutely bonkers. So, obviously, I spoke a fair bit about the business in the last podcast that I had with you guys. Mm-hmm. Obviously, next year is going to be a very hectic first 3 or 4 months because we'll be attending expos in New South Wales and a fair few different places in Brisbane, in Queensland as well. And we might actually look at going down to Victoria for our first retail expo as well.
Are you getting the car fixed before then?
Well, the car has been fixed. It's gone through a service and everything. So,
because we're not driving to Victoria to pick you up.
I need to make sure I submit my commission slip to the wife this time because she doesn't want me driving long distances now that the car broke down in the middle of nowhere.
Character building exercise, mate.
Sorry, for those that don't know, I broke down 20 k's west of Quilpie, so it was a fun time getting home.
You get to have those fun times dealing with car companies and insurance and warranties and all the rest of it. So it's always a challenging thing to be doing.
Challenge? What's this challenge you talk of? It just all ran so smoothly, yeah.
I must admit, I had a right bomb, or a couple of right bombs when I was younger, and fuck, it makes you appreciate a good car.
Oh, you can't even rely on good cars these days.
Oh no, don't tell me that.
A 21-year model, and it just threw in the towel. Had enough.
Sure, it's not the way you drive, maybe?
No, it was actually a warranty claim. There was a recall on the car, problems with the computer and stuff. So, fun times. But that's all sorted now. So that was just another thing that I had to sort out before the end of the year, because we're going away next week for a couple of weeks. Myself, the wife and 2 kids going away camping. I've got a full cart of stuff I need to get sorted out before we go as well, which is fun. Got some backgrounds in the works, which I need to get shipped out. And I've got a few other orders that I need to make sure are shipped out as well before we close up for the 2 weeks leading up to Christmas.
Excellent.
So no sleep till you get away then?
What's that? What's the sleep you speak of?
I can tell you only by watching my husband. It includes being horizontal and making a lot of noise.
I sleep like a baby. I'm not sure what I'm thinking about.
The neighbours know, darling. The neighbours know.
Oh, that's all right.
I think half of Logan knows. Sorry, Scott.
No, you're not.
So when we had you on, you were talking about a new project.
Yes. So it's on track. I'm working very closely with somebody down in Canberra. There is a special project. I can't really say much at the moment, but once it's finished, then I'll be able to provide some more insight into it. I'm also working on a couple more different substrate types as well for the hobby. So they're in the works as well. And then, of course, I'm working on getting more product into retail stores. So that's a big one. I got some of my stock into a retail store just recently, and I'm hoping to expand on that.
Well done.
Yeah, so it's been a fair bit of work. You persevere and you push through and you'll get there.
Yeah. It's been really good, actually, because we've spoken to just about everybody that we've had on now, bar a few, and they've all had a good year. They've all had something good to say, and they've all said that it's flown as well, but they've all had a good year, so it's really good to hear.
Yeah, it is, isn't it? The only downside is breeding of animals for me has taken a hit because obviously I've been focusing on the business side of things, so I haven't really been concentrating on the animal side of things that much. But hopefully when I get back from camping, I'll still have a little bit of time left, so hopefully I can get something into the incubators and have some animals for the shows up here.
Yeah, sweet. But the more you breed, the more you feed.
Well, that too, yes. But I do have 2 kids, so they do tend to eat us out house and home.
Hey, you've had dinner here plenty of times. It's not just the kids.
Yeah, no comment.
I'll take that as a compliment, the chef.
Do so.
What are you guys doing for Christmas?
So we're heading to Boreen Point first for a week, which is just outside of Noosa, and then we're heading back to Kilkeven over Christmas again because we were there last Christmas and we enjoyed it a lot, so we're heading back there again.
Nice.
Then we'll be back home just before New Year's, before the crazy people come out.
Yeah, that's awesome.
How about you guys?
We're going to be pretty busy over Christmas and the lead up to Christmas, and hopefully lots of people are coming and buying books beforehand. And then after that, we'll vegetate for a little bit, and then I've got some work that I'm up to, so that'll be a bit of a headache. I was hoping to have a bit longer break, but it looks like that's going to get pulled short a bit. And like always, Ty will keep working as she always does. She never seems to stop working, that's for sure.
No, she doesn't, does she? Despite many conversations and some wordings, can't help herself.
Yeah, I know you say, like, it'll be there tomorrow, and yeah, it will be. And then it just piles up, and it piles up, and it piles up.
But in saying that, time, the plus side, it just shows how committed you are to what you do, especially for the hobby and stuff. So, props to you.
Oh, thank you.
You too, Scott.
That's all right, mate. I know I'm the wishover. Reality is reality, mate, so it's all good.
Yeah.
I'm the invisible hyper, you're the wish hyper. We're a great pair.
Wow.
It has been awesome chatting to you. Was there anything else you wanted to add before we go?
Not really, guys, but please, by all means, everybody, if you do need anything that comes down to bioactive requirements for your setups for your animals and whatnot, or even custom backgrounds, feel free to hit me up or visit the website. So it's AK Reptiles and custombackgrounddesigns.com.au, or feel free to message me through our Facebook page at AK Reptiles and Custom Background Designs, and we'll get back to you as soon as possible. But otherwise, hope everyone has a fantastic Christmas, and once again, always a pleasure chatting to you, Ty and Scott.
Back at you, mate. Thanks so much, Ash. We will talk to you soon. With us now, we have Peter Rowland. Pete, how you doing? It's been a while since we've caught up.
Yeah,
Yeah, it has been a while. Yeah, I'm going good. I'm going real good. I'm heading home today, standing in Yarrawongala National Park on the beautiful south coast in the Shoalhaven. And it's not a sunny, hot day, so it's just nice, actually, after the hot weather we've had.
You know all the things to say to rub it in, don't you? We're both sitting in offices. So what's been happening? What have you been doing since we were chatting last?
Actually, I was really hectic. I've been working on a project for the land care organisation I'm working for in Holbrook, and really hectic trying to get a couple of revegetation guides finished and off to the printer, and everything was sort of dragging the chain, and so I didn't get much of a chance to get out and do anything decent as far as reptiles or birds or anything really. I was sort of stuck in front of the computer for ages, but then got everything done and I went to Canada. So I suppose that just makes up for it.
Yeah, how good was that?
Oh, it was fantastic. 3 weeks of just hunting around, mostly actually catching up with family and that over there, but definitely getting out and checking out some of this, I think they call them state forests over there, or forests anyway.
You managed to catch up with everyone you wanted to?
I did. It was a bit of a condensed itinerary, but definitely caught up with everyone I wanted to, and a good quality time. Everyone was still sort of in party mode after Thanksgiving. It was really good.
Awesome.
Did you get to see some wildlife over there, mate?
Well, I think I've seen enough squirrels to last a lifetime.
But coming from somewhere that doesn't have squirrels, they are so cool.
They are really cool. I probably read it somewhere, but I didn't realise that the grey squirrel had a black morph.
Ah.
And so when I saw a black squirrel, I'm thinking, what's this? I thought it was some sort of, I don't know, throwback or something. But no, black squirrels are so common over there. It was amazing.
When we were in Germany, we were like, oh my God, squirrel. And everyone was looking at us like we were a pair of freaks. And people were like, yeah, we've cut down trees in our yards because they nest there. We do anything we can to deter them. They're a pest. And Scott and I were both like, oh, possums, I guess, would be our version. But yeah.
That's it. Yeah. That's it. Yep. But no, it was an awesome place to be. I really want to go back. I've sort of got a bit of a hankering now to go a little bit further north. I was down on the south in Ottawa, which basically, because Canada's so widespread across the top of the US there, that's where the population density is the highest. And the further north you go, the less populous it is. And of course, the more wildlife areas and a more chance of stumbling across things that I really wanted to see was bears and moose and just some of those iconic creatures over there. But I just didn't quite get the chance while I was there this time.
So you have to go back.
Definitely have to go back. That's right. You've got to leave a reason to go back.
Yeah, you definitely do. You take Scott with you. You go bear hunting together.
Yeah. I know, like, Scott loves bears. So,
yes, he does. So what have you got planned for Christmas?
Working up till about the 20th, and then family time for the first week. And then I'm going to actually probably try and get out to Mudgee. I've got my old boss from the museum lives out just north of Mudgee now. Mm-hmm. So I'm probably going to do a little bit of a road trip in the second week and try and catch up with some people.
Nice.
Alan Greer lives out at Mudgee as well.
Oh, does he now? Okay. Wow. Because it just seems like the museum moved west. Ross Adler lives out sort of Parks Way.
So you're going to stop in at the Narranga pub on the way through and get a bite to eat, or what? They do a pretty good food there.
I had lunch with Mum and Dad, so that was the whole point. I was up at Wollongong, and then I zipped down to Sussex Inlet to catch up with Mum and Dad, and yes, had a nice quiche and salad, so it was really nice.
Okay.
Oh, we haven't had quiche for a while.
No.
Real man and all that, you know.
Oh, we have bacon in ours. Ours isn't vegetarian. Sorry.
Yeah, I had pumpkin and ricotta.
It's just sort of lack of meat in it.
Exactly.
Tofu's not fucking meat, Pete. You and Gus can keep that shit.
You even tried
whip you up a nice tofu stir fry one day, Scott. You'll fall in love with it.
No, I won't, Pete.
You'll be able to tell because he can't control his facial expressions. So no matter what he says, you'll see it anyway.
I'm good to play poker with, though. So,
that's right.
Yeah, for everybody else but me.
All right, well, we'll let you get back to it. You got a long drive ahead.
When I was driving down, like, there was lyrebirds running down the road. This is always a great slot for rock warblers, so I'm probably going to be here for the next 10 minutes and hunt around, see what I can see.
Nice.
Just quickly, what's in the plans for 2025, mate? You've obviously been working on that book. Are we going to see a third edition potentially of Reptiles of Australia?
Well, yeah, I hope so, yeah. I mean, I'm going to catch up with the publisher hopefully and see what plans, but I've enjoyed the last couple of years just sort of switching off doing books. I mean, yes, obviously you and I have done a couple of second editions on the way, and yeah, probably third edition of Reptiles is long overdue. There's been a lot of changes going on. So that's definitely something on the wish list, and some other titles would be awesome as well.
It is good, though, to not have a contract looming over your head. If you want to go, in your case, birding for a weekend, you can. You're not thinking, shit, I should be writing.
Yeah, I've actually really enjoyed doing these revegetation guides and revamping some old stuff and working in a team. So I wasn't sort of doing a lot of research, but the compilation of the books and working with a crew was definitely really enjoyable. So I've enjoyed that. I mean, I'm going to use the word downtime. It wasn't downtime. It was very busy and hectic. But it was definitely downtime from research. So I'm keen to get back in and doing a bit of that. I've been trying to accumulate pickies and that of different things. So I've got a few ideas of what I'd like to start putting together, but I've just got to see how the calendar pans out and see if I can do it in a realistic sort of time frame. But yeah, without a contract, it's nice because I don't have to get it done in 6 months.
Yeah.
Well, that's the beauty of it too. You can put things aside, put it on the drawing board to look at it another day or something like that as well. So,
or loosely in the background on the desktop. Put together
the bits and pieces, have it all sitting there ready to go, and then we say, right, let's go. And then you're already basically done. So.
Yeah, 100%. That's exactly right, Scott.
Excellent. All right, mate. Well, great to talk with you.
Yeah.
It's been a little while. I'm sure we'll catch up probably in the new year, hopefully in person at some point.
Well, I hope so. I mean, obviously you and I have caught up previously, but I'd love to meet Ty and love to see your collection up there and, yeah, spend some quality time rather than just catching up over the phone. That sounds absolutely perfect. I reckon I'll
you have to come up and we'll do a barbie and,
Yeah, we'll do a barbie and we'll try and figure out a way of not doing meat on it. So, you don't want much, do you? But that's all right.
That's right.
All good, mate. All good.
All righty. Well, you guys take care. So great to chat.
You too. Have a Merry Christmas and thank you so much for your time, Pete.
No worries at all. See you, both.
Merry Christmas.
Hello, Scott and Ty and all the listeners of the Cold Blooded Contributions podcast. Thank you so much for having me on. I'm sorry I could not be here for a live conversation to converse with both Scott and Ty, but for the listeners, my time zone in Canada and Scott and Ty's time zone in Australia makes it very difficult for us to overlap, and it's just been one of those hectic times of year where I am just so busy this week I didn't have a chance to connect with them in person, but I really wanted to take part in the episode, so I thought at the very least I could at least do a pre-recorded conversation and be included in the episode. Some of you may hear a bit of raspiness in my voice. I also lost my voice earlier this week, so it's been one of those weeks. For those of you who don't know who I am, my name is Dillon Perron. I live in Manitoba, Canada. I am the host of the Animals at Home podcast. This morning, I woke up to drive my son to school, and it was minus 27 Celsius below zero. So that's the sort of thing that I'm dealing with right now. Of course, we're getting geared up for Christmas and doing all that sort of stuff, family stuff. So things are busy. Since I've been on the podcast last, which was back in July, so almost 6 months ago now. What has happened? Well, I've been busier than ever, always continuing to plug out the podcast. There's been some incredible episodes in the last 3 or 4 months, especially. So if you have not listened to the podcast, I highly recommend going to check that out. I have a couple great episodes coming up. Rebecca Hassler of Dragoon Gecko, who has always been a really popular guest on the podcast. We also recorded a third episode with her, and that'll be out later this year. Depending on when you're listening to this episode, it may already be out, but it'll be out sometime late December, early January. I recorded one with Logan Hope, who is the bearded bug guy on Instagram, and he has this incredible, huge mourning gecko, almost, I wouldn't even call it an enclosure. It's essentially a room with an army of mourning geckos in it, and he has an incredible setup for his Blue Beauty snake, and one of those conversations that makes you want to just search for more animals to keep because he keeps some really neat species. And one other little insight I'll give you is I've been working on a video probably for at least... So right now, it's middle December. I think I started this at the beginning of October. It's probably the longest time I've ever spent working on a video. And I've done a deep dive into Eric Good, who is the creator of both Chimp Crazy and Tiger King. And he is working and creating a new series that is focused on the reptile world. And many of us are kind of worried about this because of how sensational his 2 previous shows have been. I think there's no question that this will not be good for the reptile keeping community. So I spent a lot of time researching who I think is going to be in that show, what are the type of things things that we're going to see, and hopefully trying to get in front of that story in some way. So if that is something you're interested in, I hope you go check out the YouTube channel at Animals at Home. Depending on when you're listening to this particular episode, that video may already be out. If it's not out, make sure you're subscribed because it will be out very soon. I'm hoping to have it out in the next couple of weeks. As far as my plans for Christmas, I always really enjoy the Christmas holiday. Just the 2 weeks, I usually take about 2 weeks off of work, which is really nice. My schedule is insanely busy. I'm a swim coach, so I'm working all the time. I work like 6 to 7 days a week, which can sometimes turn into 20 or 30 days of working in a row. And the Christmas break is that one time during the year where I just get a nice break, and it's just family time. We'll go to the in-laws' cabin and spend some time walking through the snow or snowshoeing or skating on the lake. There's a lot of winter activities that you can get up to when there's a ton of snow. And you know what? Even when it's really cold, if you're out there in nature, as long as you dress warm, it's actually really, really beautiful. When you have a nice, crisp blue sky, doesn't really matter how cold it is. It can be really fun and enjoyable. So that's what I'll be doing for the holidays. Lots of family time, lots of just relaxing. And I think that is it. So Scott and Ty, Merry Christmas to you. Happy New Year to you. Happy New Year and Merry Christmas to all the listeners as well. Thank you so much for having me on the podcast again. And I can't wait to talk again soon.
Good afternoon, Pierre from Pierre's Wildlife. How are you going over there?
Good afternoon. Thank you for having me. It's great to be here again with you.
It's been a while.
Everything's fine so far.
It is flown. It feels like it was ages ago, but at the same time yesterday that we spoke.
Yes, exactly. I still have very fond memories about this, but it's been a busy year, I have to say, so I didn't see it fly so fast, for sure.
What did you get up to during the year? Did you go on some exciting trips anywhere to photograph some very special animals?
Yeah, I've been through one of my most difficult trips, actually, but it was really rewarding. It was China, mainland China. And I went there in order to prepare an expedition for Joel Sartori, the National Geographic photographer, for his photo art project.
Yep.
And at the same time, I went there to photograph animals for myself, for my own project, Pierre Wildlife, which you kindly mentioned. Everything was so difficult because most Chinese people don't speak very good English, and most people who we worked with didn't speak a word of English. So I had to have a translator with me at all times who explained every single detail that we were about to do. We had to have special permits for everything. But it was so rewarding because we got to see many, many animal species that I would have never dreamt of seeing.
Awesome.
So, but yeah, unfortunately, very few reptiles. I mean, despite the Chinese alligator, of course, and a couple of pit vipers. But still, it was a very rewarding trip.
What was the highlight that you got to see? Was it a bird or was it a mammal in China?
No, it was actually a mammal. It was the Myanmar snub-nosed monkey.
Oh, wow.
This is probably one of the rarest monkeys in the world at this time. And we're so lucky to see one. And I went to its habitat in Gaoligong National Park in Yunnan. And I was in the habitat of Trimeresurus yunanensis, but I didn't spot it. I spotted the monkey, which is quite a big deal as well. So that was the biggest one.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Nothing like being able to get out in the field and see those things in the wild. Is the main threatening process is habitat destruction for that species?
Habitat destruction is not so much of a problem anymore, I would say, because the Gaoligong National Park is well protected, and on the Chinese side, at least, the forest is still there. Habitat destruction has been an issue, but right now the main problem is hunting, is illegal hunting. That's the main problem. And the fact that this species has such a small range, anything like a disease would immediately be a really big issue. Yeah. So that's why it's so threatened.
Excellent. So what's on the cards for 2025?
Oh, Indonesia is in the plans. We're currently applying for a press visa for National Geographic.
Yeah.
And I'm going to go there myself as well on behalf of my own project for an expedition on Nias Island, which is just a few miles west of Sumatra. But it's separated from Sumatra by deep sea. So it's been separated for a very long time. And there's a bunch of animals over there that are endemic that we haven't studied. There's likely undescribed species, even of mammals, over there on this tiny island, and it's getting deforested at high speed. So we're going to try basically to survey the island for everything, including the endemic pit viper, Trimeresurus calamitas, and we're going to basically publish our findings later, hopefully, if we have anything to publish. We'll see. But that's the plan. That's for March. And I'm also contemplating a bit of Philippines because I want to continue documenting animals from Mindanao. There's still lots to do, and I'm still excited to do it. So I'll see, according to the funding, if I manage the 2 destinations. We'll see about that. It's exciting.
Have you spent time on Luzon in the Philippines as well, or just been done?
Yes. No, I've spent time on every major island except Samar and Leyte. Okay. I've spent time on almost every major island, but I would like to spend more time on Luzon because Luzon is such a big place. Yeah. And now they have the endemic king cobra in Luzon, which I've actually photographed. So it's not a target anymore. But I would also love to see more Luzon endemics because so few are easily accessible. There are many, many species out there in the northern parts that are very difficult to spot. So that's also a plan someday.
Sounds like a busy year, and that's just 2 trips in.
Yeah. And besides that, on the less funny and less enjoyable side, we got a landslide that destroyed our garden and flooded our cellar in October. Oh. So we're still recovering from that. So at the same time, while I'm preparing my expeditions, I'm busy with insurance things and construction and all kinds of things. But we're fine. No damage to the house, luckily, and no damage to us. So
well, that's important.
We're fine. But it was quite a busy end of year, I have to say.
It certainly sounds that way.
As long as you guys are okay, that's the main thing.
Exactly. We're fine. Our animals are fine. Our house is fine. The cellar is still recovering from that. And our garden is pretty much a barren wasteland right now. But it's okay. We'll get through it.
You were saying that the monkey was your favourite find for this year. What was your favourite photograph that you took this year? Did you have a favourite species that you were able to photograph? Didn't you photograph a pretty special tiger? One of your last tigers that you had to photograph? At the start of the year?
2024, let's see. The thing is, this year alone, I photographed more than 2,000 species of animals that were new.
Wow.
Wow.
Yes. So I'm trying to...
That's a busy year.
In my head. Yeah, it's been like that for the past 3 years.
Excellent.
Feeling really
between
inadequate.
1,000 and 2,000 new species. It's incredible.
Wow.
I'm scratching my head trying to find one, actually. But,
I think you're forgiven with that amount.
Well, maybe just give us a highlight. What's one that stands out for you?
Actually, many people who go herping, since we're talking about reptiles, let's get into that a little bit.
Yeah.
Many people who go herping will publish their photos of pit vipers when they go to Thailand and things like that. And I don't know why, but the past few years I've always been super unlucky with finding pit viper in the wild. Because every time I go where people give me the exact coordinates, I'm like, yeah, it was there. You'll see it. It was there yesterday. Well, I come and it's not there. And it's been like this for ages and ages. Last, in July of this year, I finally was able, after 20 years in Asia, to see by myself my first Trimeresurus albolabris.
Oh, excellent.
Well done.
Yeah, it was a nemesis of mine. I saw so many rare stuff, and that little dude that was my very first after 20 years.
Congratulations.
That brought tears to my eyes.
I bet.
But besides that, other interesting species. In terms of snakes, actually, I was so happy to photograph Caliophis bivergatus.
Oh, okay.
Snake.
Yeah, which subspecies was that?
That was the Thailand one.
Okay, yeah, so Bivergata.
Flaviceps.
Oh,
yeah, Flaviceps, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, my goodness, such a beautiful animal. I did expect a brightly colored animal, but the colors look surreal.
Yeah.
Really.
Yeah.
It's mind-blowing. I was expecting it to be like a dwarf version of Bungarus Flaviceps, actually. But no, it's twice as bright.
Yeah, they get quite large, too. They can get up to 1.5 meters long.
Yeah, exactly. But I did not expect it to be as brightly colored. The photos I've seen don't do it justice. My God, it looks like it has neon lights inside itself.
It's hard to capture the depth of the blue in those images. Because when you take the photos, often you're using flash, and the flash seems to wash out the blue a little bit, and it's hard to get that color temperature correct again.
Exactly, yeah. That blue is so glowing, it's almost white.
Yeah.
It's really in between the two. I didn't even bother trying so far to work on my photos because that one scares me to work. I know it will likely fail my memory. So I will go know at some point, but I know this one's going to be a headache to work on.
Yeah, one of those ones that you want to try and do it as soon as possible after the trip to try and make sure that you get the colour representation correct.
I already had, I don't know how many thousands of photos to work after the last trip. I'm still not done. My trips last up to 2 months. That's the thing. If you ask me the number of trips that I've done from France this year, it's only 4.
Yeah.
1 to Germany and 3 to Asia. Well, 3 to Asia is more than most people, but it's only 4 times. I only went away from home 4 times. But every time I went to Asia, it was over 2 months.
Yes.
And it's like almost 1,000 pictures daily. So
wow.
that's why it's a bit difficult to catch up. But I'm still there, working every day. So the office will soon be in line.
You're certainly still testing out the wear and tear on your camera, that's for sure.
Yeah, I'm thankful that the new camera I bought this year, the R6 Mark II from Canon, is a pretty good one and pretty sturdy, actually. It's much lighter than the other cameras I've used before, which is quite surprising at first.
Okay.
But I have to say, so far, it has stood against the pressure I'm applying to it pretty well. So I hope it still goes on.
How are you finding the low light capabilities of a mirrorless?
Sincerely, it's the best camera I've ever owned.
Yeah.
There's no question about it. I've owned pretty much every Canon camera, every major one, except the 1D, basically, because it was just so expensive. I didn't buy this one. But I bought the 5D, the 7D, the 60, the 50D, 60D, 20D back in the days. Yeah. And they don't come close. They really don't come close. Maybe even the 1D would come close, but that R6 is just a beast. It's absolutely a beast, and it produces absolutely mind-blowing quality. I wouldn't go back to the EOS ones.
Okay.
I'm at the point where basically I'm contemplating selling some of my lenses that were belonging to EOS cameras that are not compatible with the R ones, unless you have an adapter, and sell them and buy the lenses for the R cameras and buy myself another this one I would choose R7 as a backup camera. Whenever I get the funding for that would be my long-term plan, because quite honestly, these EOS cameras, the one with the mirror, are not going to be updated anymore. They're really switching to mirrorless, and I would encourage everyone to give it a try because it's mind-blowing. And it's actually super easy to use. It's the same principle. There are just no moving parts. That's all.
We're hearing the same thing in regards to the Nikon stuff as well, as the P series and stuff is just absolutely incredible compared to the D series, and it's the same thing. It's the lack of movement, the speed at which that you can record the images. It's pretty incredible.
Yeah, exactly. And so far, I can speak only for the R6, but so far with the R6, the only thing that I didn't like, and it's not even related to the camera body, is the array of lenses that they offer for this camera is not up to par yet with what they have for EOS, for the DSLR. They still have to bring better lenses, more lenses, because I had this 60mm macro, which I would use for reptiles and amphibians, for wild insects and such, and they don't have the equivalent for the R6 at this time. So I still have to find a good lens for that.
What are you guys doing over Christmas?
Oh, we're staying home. That's what we're doing. Because as incredible as it may seem, I have not spent the last 3 or 4 Christmas at home. It was always at this time that I was abroad.
Okay.
And sometimes my wife would join me there, so we would have Christmas in the Philippines last time, for example. Mm-hmm. But it's been like 4 years since I haven't had Christmas home. So I told my wife, please, let's not do anything. Let's just stay there if we can.
Yeah,
and enjoy a nice Christmas together at home.
Yeah,
and that's what we're going to do. So I'm super excited just to do that.
Sounds like you need to relax as well.
Yeah, and enjoy my home, actually, because sometimes I don't forget that I have a home, but sometimes it's like a very distant feeling.
Oh, yeah, away for that long. Yeah.
Yeah, I finally get to enjoy my home because I bought it, I would like to enjoy it.
Fantastic. All right. Well, on that note, we'll leave it there. Thank you so much for the conversation. Great to catch up with you, and I'm sure we will talk at some point in time in the new year.
Merry Christmas, guys.
Sure. It was a pleasure to talk with you again, and let's talk again soon. Definitely, I'm up to it, so let me know. And I wish you a very Merry Christmas, and enjoy yourselves, and see you next year, hopefully. Definitely, we have to plan something.
Yes, definitely. Like you, we're looking forward to no work and just sitting at home and vegging a bit.
There you go. That's a good plan.
Yeah. Food coma. And thanks, Pierre. Matt, welcome back. Thanks so much for coming back. How's your year been?
It's been a great year, Ty. It's a really fantastic year.
Oh, that's awesome to hear. It's flown, hasn't it? I can't believe we're in December.
No, me neither. It's gone so fast. It's crazy. I think it means we're getting old.
Oh, I know I'm getting old. My joints tell me daily. I can still do all them all-nighters, though, when I need to write. Do you get up to anything that you can share with us, or just busy?
No. I released my book, The Reptiles of the Guianas, this year at the Hem show in March. And it was it is still a great success. I still have packages here to send for the last books because they really sold well.
I'm not surprised.
So, I'm sending those Christmas gifts now. I have packages here for Slovakia today and to Anchorage and New Zealand.
Oh, wow.
I have packages here for all over the world again. And I'm giving readings about it as well, or lectures, or how do you call them in English? Lectures?
Yeah, lectures.
Yeah.
Oh, that's good. That is a cracking book. I'm not surprised it's done so well.
So that was my main preoccupation this year, the book release, all the work that comes and goes with that. And now I'm preparing for the new year.
Yes, us too. We're actually looking forward to a couple of days where we do absolutely nothing. Foreign feeling, but we're looking forward to it.
You have that, yeah? Days? No, I don't. I got so many animals and stuff that I'm always doing something.
We plan on really jumping in a couple of days before Christmas, getting the feed done, and yeah.
Oh, good. That's great. I think Christmas is just going to make something with the family and maybe invite the kids or something. But I think they're out with their boyfriends and families and friends as well. And then in the new year, in January, we are leaving to Suriname for 3 weeks.
Oh, nice.
To start working on the amphibians of the Guianas.
Oh, Andreas got you to do it, did he?
Yeah. It's still work in progress.
Yeah.
And then after that, we probably going to some undisclosed islands for some follow-ups. And I think January, February, March is already booked full.
Oh, nice. As I tell people, we can sleep when we're dead.
That's what I say them as well, yeah.
Yeah.
Life is short and you need to enjoy it.
Yeah. Oh, there's no rest for the wicked too, whichever one you'd prefer.
Some people like to party and do crazy things, and I like to travel and do crazy things because some people see the travel as the crazy thing. But yeah,
awesome.
That's what I like. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, it sounds like you've got a very long year ahead of you next year with the amphibians.
Yep.
We wish you luck. Thank you so much for coming on, and you guys have a very Merry Christmas.
You too.
And I look forward to seeing the amphibian when it comes out.
Thank you. I will keep you informed.
Oh, definitely. You take care.
Thanks.
Thank you, Matt. Bye.
Bye-bye.
But so what you were saying before is that if I want to talk to you these days, I don't call you. We get Ty to call you. Is that how it goes?
Normally the phone's on charge and I'm not near it. I just finished mowing the lawn. If I was mowing the lawn, I wouldn't know there was anyone rang me. It was just purely coincidental.
Oh,
I sat down and I brought the phone out, and I don't even know why I brought it out, but I brought the phone out. I knocked the top off the beer, and 2 minutes later you ring. It's just purely coincidental.
Well, it just sounds to me like it just happened to be some very good timing. How's the work on the various publications going that you're going on with at the moment?
Oh, it's going slowly, but it's still going.
That's right. It's going in the right direction.
Yeah, going in the right direction. That red centre thing, I thought they wanted that in a hurry, and it looks like they're working on May next year.
The way this year went so fast, Busho, May will be here before you know it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, they go quick. The museum's redoing the Pilbara book. That's all back with them.
You put up some photos the other day of the differences between Pseudonaea, Mengani and Affinis, mate. What was the go there? Had you tickled something there when you were looking at rostral scales?
Well, if you look at the 2007 Reptiles and Frogs in the Bush, southwestern Australia, that was when Eucalyptus, Encompass, Aspidihinca and bloody all these things
And Cogger and everyone else believed that the rostral scale was high and strap-like in things like Nucales, Manganite, because it was in that group. That was one of the characteristics. It wasn't shared by all individuals within the group. With the removal of Aspidihinca by Skinner, and you look at Manganite and Aphanus, Dugites, indistinguishable.
Well, that's why when we did our key to Shikito, obviously we incorporated those distinctions in regards to the rostral shape and all the rest of it. And Manganese, generally speaking, has got a rounded snout when looking from above in most specimens. And then in the case of both Nucales and Aspidihinca, it's squared off.
But if you look at that last series of shots, I think there's one or two on the right, which is Manganite. It's chisel-shaped as well.
This is the problem with all the keys. Is every key works for most, you would suggest, but every now and then you get animals that don't read bloody books.
That's what started it, because I was doing some diagnostic shots for the revised 2007 book.
Yeah.
And we use the old characteristic. It's quite wide in bloody Aphanus, and it's tall and strap-like in Manganite, but that wasn't Manganite back then. It was Nucales. That was published 2 years before Skinner did his work. But I grabbed the Dugite and I took a photo for that, because 95% of the animals that were looked at by Gregory's thesis, PhD, the ocular scale drops below the orbit of the eye, or equal to or below the orbit of the eye, and I grab a bloody Dugite and blow me down. That's one of the 5% that didn't.
So I looked at that too, because when I was doing the keys, that was one of the things I looked at as potentially something that I could use to split Manganese away from Aphanus. And I looked at my photos of both Manganese and Aphanus, and it didn't work for me either.
Yeah, well, it doesn't always work. That's the thing with trees, isn't it?
I had photos of, not quite like yourself, mate, but I only had photos of about 10 different specimens of Manganese and about 8 different specimens of Aphanus. So it wasn't a consistent enough feature in the images that I had from that small set. And then I jumped on Flickr and I went through your lot, and quite a fair few of yours didn't really fit too well either. So I was like, well, it's probably okay when you're using a set of vernier calipers in the lab and a specimen that's not moving. But how easy is that as a field character to use?
It's much easier than counting scales for a lot of these guys.
Oh, shit, yeah.
Yeah, it's all right if it's a roadkill, but if they photograph it in a bloody terrarium or something, they can get a bit of a handle on it.
Yeah.
I find it works pretty good. When you look at the post-oculars, you'd be amazed how often they have 3. Probably more so Aphanus and Manganite. But I think Gregory found it's pretty high. I think he found something like 23% or something of Aphanus had 3 post-ocular scales instead of 2.
Yeah.
He looked at such a large series.
Yeah, he certainly did. He obviously looked at a massive number of specimens.
That's Skinner's problem, see? I think he only looked at one Manganite from the Pilbara and none from the Kimberley.
Yeah.
He only had a small sample.
Yeah, and I think that might be some of the issue with some of the genetic stuff too. They didn't look at a big enough range on some of those things, but certainly when you looked at Gregory's thesis, there was a few interesting things there regarding Shikito guttata, the western population versus the eastern population are probably distinct, and there's a couple of other things going on potentially in Dugites between an eastern and a western animal as well. But I do wonder if the eastern Dugites and the western inframacula might be conspecific, to be clear on that one too. They may not necessarily be so different as what people are suggesting.
Agree. I mean, there's a lot more work to be done down there, and if you followed my post, I mentioned the western woodlands. I've not been able to find a Dugite over about 1 metre in length. They're tannerite-like. And yet you only got to go a few kilometres to the west and you get the big 2 metre suckers. When I say a few kilometres, it's probably a bit more than that. But the habitat changes because you get out of that bloody eucalypt forest, that bloody woodlands, and you end up in more or less a low heath.
Yeah.
And then you get the big Dugites right into the wheat belt all the way to the west coast.
Yeah, there was a suggestion that Tannerai and Exilis are nothing more than geographical insular variants and not really good subspecies. We obviously kept them for now, pending more information. What do you guys think about that? Do you think that they're worth retaining for now until such time as they sort of prove to be nothing more than that?
Yeah, there's a lot of work going on suppressing or crushing or bloody binning bloody subspecies, but the insular stuff, I suppose that should be maintained. I mean, it's probably only 6,000 years, 7,000 years that there's been no gene flow with the mainland.
Yeah.
And it's nice to be able to appreciate them as an insulated entity than to just do away with subspecies because of a trend. And that's what's going on at the moment. It's just a fucking trend. I mean, all these bloody people have got no minds of their own.
Yeah, I tend to agree with you in that sense. I think that keeping subspecies, it doesn't hurt anything, and it provides an instrument for authorities and stuff like that to actually conserve, as opposed to something that just gets rolled up within a larger species.
Yeah, for sure. You take an insular population like Tannerai.
Yeah.
If it's not recognised, then you'll get an industry come along and want to put in a bloody tourist park on the island, and there's no significance of the dugong on the island because it's the same as on the mainland. Given that subspecific status does elevate it to an entity that needs further work.
It at least causes them to ask the question and do a reasonable environmental impact study to determine whether or not an industry is viable in that location and it's not going to completely screw the ecology of that island up.
That's correct.
And it has that beautiful other side of it where it's not only conserving the dugong, but then it also happens to be conserving any small mammals or any lizards or vertebrates that happen to live on that island as well. Who knows? There could be an appraiser on there that we don't know about yet.
Oh, bloody hell. They can turn up anywhere.
Well, they survived nuclear bombs, mate. I reckon they can do just about anything.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Brad survived nuclear bombs, but we're as hard as appraisers.
Oh.
You got to be a hard bastard to bloody live underground and eat ants.
Well, I reckon that might be the case, mate. Well, mate, great to talk with you, Brian.
You have a bloody great Christmas if I don't hear from you before or contact you before, and the same with you, Ty.
Thank you. What are you guys doing for Christmas?
The wife's a bit depressed because I said I'm happy to stay at home and not share me prawns because I like eating prawns at Christmas. I like the big suckers, and there's only about 12 to a kilo, so I don't like sharing them. But, like me ham and salad. I like the old iceberg lettuce. I'm disappointed that they serve up weeds now in most restaurants and call it bloody lettuce. I mean, give me an iceberg lettuce any day of the week. But I don't mind not going anywhere. I can sit back here and get inebriated and I don't have to drive. So we'll probably have the daughters drop in and see them.
And Christmas is supposed to be relaxing. We usually have a food coma. I get shit-faced and pass out, and Scott sits there with his nose buried in a hook. Yeah, that's it exactly. Scott's in luck. I secured him a book he's been wanting for a very long time, so he's going to have a very good Christmas.
Oh, terrific.
Yeah.
Excellent.
All right. Thank you so much, Busho. It was so good catching up.
What have you been up to, mate?
Oh, lots of work at the moment.
Last time we spoke, you were going to head out for grey snakes. How did you go that night? Did you end up seeing them?
That night actually was really good. I think I spoke to you then. I hadn't seen grey snakes before, and I've probably been out looking for them with you up in Queensland and struck out. You've found them since, I believe, but I had the opportunity to go out here. Weather was absolutely perfect. It had been 41 or something, I think, that day, and got out on the road. It was actually the first snake we got of the night.
Fucking beauty.
Cracker.
Awesome. Yeah, it was just such a placid, calm snake as well. I've sort of heard mixed things on those guys. Sometimes they can be a little bit stroppy, but this guy was just as placid as anything.
They're like white lips. So you'll get 4 or 5 white lips that are friendly as hell, and then you get one that's just angry as hell all the time, just wants to bite and savage you. It's the same thing with grey snakes. Like most of the time they're real quiet, and then every now and then you just get an absolute nut job.
This one was just really, really nice. So I was quite happy with that, and we get some really nice photos.
Another tick.
Yeah, another tick, exactly. It's getting harder and harder, as you know, Scott, to go to a spot now and actually get new species. So I've been up here in Western New South Wales now for a bit over 2 months, and that's the only new species that I've managed to get since I've been up here.
I did a trip since we spoke on the podcast. I think I did 5,500 Ks over the whole trip, and I ended up getting 2 new species.
And I got a speeding fine out of it.
Sorry, three new species. I was glad I got to see what I saw. So
that's the thing about herping for so long, though, unfortunately. When you're good at it, you do tick off so many species. And our country is so big.
Yeah, well, I tell people all the time, if you're from the East Coast, go to WA. You spend 2 weeks over WA and you'll tick off 100 things.
Yeah, 100%. 100%.
That you haven't seen.
So what are you doing for Chrissy, mate?
spending it with the family. So we've got a pretty close family. We all get together, big family. So we have the big family traditional Christmas, turkey, plum pudding, roast ham,
Nice.
which is nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it'd be nice to just relax a bit instead of getting up at 5:30 every morning. I've got 3 weeks off over Christmas, so I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah.
Just relaxing a little bit. Get to spend some time with my animals at home for a change.
That's it, mate. That sounds like a plan. Did you breed much stuff this year? Have you got a few things grabbing in the pits, mate?
I've had lots and lots of matings.
Yeah.
Lots and lots of matings from different blue tongues, things. So fingers crossed, Westerns, Centralians. Strange thing with those guys, matings doesn't necessarily mean babies. So
yeah,
fingers crossed. But there were plenty of other things. I keep most of my stuff out in outside pits, so I don't actually have to do much. All of a sudden I walk out in February or early March and there's babies everywhere. It may sound late, a lot of people listening, but I'm down in miserable cold Victoria and the season's a lot later down there. I talk to people from Queensland all the time, and you know this yourself, moving up there.
Yeah.
People can have babies out. I watch on the internet, the forums and things, and people have got babies out before my stuff are even mating.
Yeah, we've got Kimberley Blueies and Eastern Blueies and Blotchies that are all pretty heavily gravid right now. I was looking back at some of our other records from previous years. Most years we're looking at seeing babies on the ground within the next couple of weeks.
Now might be a good time to tell you we're not moving on any blotches.
Right, okay. That's all right. But now's the time that we start to see babies as well. But we did a couple of things different with the Kimberleys this year and kept them separate from each other, and then just introduced the animals in the pits separately to each other, and that seems to have done the trick. So,
with all my tropical stuff, I keep exactly the same way. Well, not just tropical stuff, the Westerns, Centralians, and all my Kimberleys, and that's the best way to breed them, all the blue tongues. You're going to keep them inside, keep them separate, and introduce them at breeding time.
Yeah, awesome. Cool, mate.
Yeah.
Well, thank you very much for catching up with us, Ads.
You're more than welcome, guys. You know that anytime.
Is there anything else you want to throw out, mate, or what?
I'll bitch and whinge to you off air.
Yeah, good.
I love you guys.
We love you too.
Love you too, mate. All right.
Oh, my goodness.
Wow.
He does miss you.
I'm blushing now.
Cory, how you doing?
Hey, how you going?
Good, thank you. Nice time at night for you, a bit quieter, less call-outs?
Yeah, a little bit quiet this time of the night, for the moment anyway.
I know we spoke quite recently, but has anything happened with Reptile Relocation Sydney since we did speak? Have you had any cool call-outs?
Yeah, we've had a couple of things going on. We've had the London Times follow us.
Oh.
So, yeah, we had those guys follow us around for a little bit.
That's obviously because of the podcast that you did.
100%. One of the most interesting things that's happened since then is I got a lace monitor that had been chopped.
Oh.
And I had an arrow left in it for 12 months.
Oh, the poor thing.
Yeah, we had got some surgery done on that and just been rehabilitating that at the moment.
So he's come good, or is still too early to tell?
Yeah, probably a little too early to sell at the moment. Perked up a little bit and I got a lot more life about it. It decided to want to try and bite my face. So
that's always a good sign. Yeah.
A little bit more zest about it than it did with when it had the arrow through it. So yeah, it was quite lucky. It went straight over the spine and out near its back legs. So just missed all the vitals. It was a very lucky animal.
Poor thing.
Yeah.
People, what the fuck?
Yep. Yeah, that's all exactly. There's not many words for it, to be honest. Yeah, you're a bit speechless.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, even if you don't like that particular animal, why the fuck would you do that to an animal? Any animal?
Yeah, leaving an animal like that, and you're proper bow hunters, you're using proper ethical shots and things like that. Even on an animal like that, you wouldn't want them to shoot that. But the stuff that they shot with was a blunt tip, so it was like a target tip. It was shot lower limbs, like in the back hip, so they weren't even trying to kill it. They're taking pot shots at it, just trying to be cruel, pretty much.
Wasn't that a problem, though? Wasn't there reported a heap of different animals, birds, mammals?
Yeah, I think something popped up on the northern side of Sydney last year. There was something with an arrow in it. Yeah, I recall seeing a few articles about some arrows being left in some animals and people trying to track them, like trying to catch the animals to help them. So,
I wonder if it's the same little cunts.
I think it'd be lovely if they were able to dish out the same sort of punishment that they're dishing out to the animals.
Same.
It'd be good if you got all the arrows, if they had some sort of serial number on them so you could locate where it comes from, just same as like a bullet.
Definitely would be very good.
Yeah, but now that animal seems to be going all right. And we had a tiger snake come in, which at my part of Sydney where we live, we don't get tiger snakes very often. I think we've only had a handful in 10 years. So we got to get a tiger snake the other night, which was stuck in netting, and it was pretty bad.
So to be fair, you didn't really catch the tiger snake. The netting caught the tiger snake, and you just had to have it to attend.
The netting was moving when I got there, so I had to catch it.
You put him in his place, Cory.
It was only a small bit of netting, but it entangled around a whole bunch of parasites on the tiger snake. So it wasn't cutting into the tiger snake, but a bunch of the netting was getting caught on the surrounding debris on the ground and stuff like that. So it was getting caught, and it aggravated all the parasites, and we had the swelling was pretty full on. So we cut that out and had to give that antibiotics and painkillers and stuff like that. But now it's at a point where it's ready to go back out there. They wanted to, because it is covered in parasites quite bad, they wanted to euthanize it, just rather let nature take its course.
Yeah.
At least if nature takes its course, the animal goes back into the food web. It's not a complete loss to that food web for that particular habitat.
Yeah, exactly. And, sometimes intervening in nature, sometimes we intervene a little too much. We just wanted to make sure it got out of the netting and deserves to fight another day. Like, it's an old tiger snake, and I think it deserves to live its days out there and let nature do its thing.
Definitely.
Most definitely. Excellent.
How's the weather been down there? Have you been busy?
It's been absolutely psychotic. We've had 43 degrees, 44-degree days, and turns into rain and thunderstorms and blowing a gale down here. So it's been crazy. So if it's not too hot and we're getting them inside the houses and things trying to cool down, then we're getting them flooded out of where they've been trying to hide out to cool down. So it's been pretty full on. But today was actually the first day in a while that we've been a little bit quiet. So today we only got 4 on. So it was actually a bit relieving to be quiet.
You need a break every now and then, don't you?
Yeah, most definitely.
I get too bored. But I definitely need time a little bit. So,
have you made plans for Christmas?
Yeah, working. We're going to try and pretty much this year. I think we'll pretty much work all the way through, and then maybe at Easter we'll calm down and get a week off. We might try and get away for a night, but I think we're just going to work right through. I think this year the bills just piled up on top of each other, so we've got to knock them down, and because we've got a few things in the works for next year, we're going to try and get some money behind it to try and kick it off with a bang. So
sounds great.
What are Amy and Ivy doing over Christmas then?
They follow me around. Ivy will, more than likely, will be following me around everywhere. But she's playing representative footy in the first part of January, and then at the end of January she's playing representative footy again. So she does have a few sporting things up, so she'll be doing a lot of training as well. So
my suggestion would be on your quiet days to build another trophy cabinet.
I think I need a shipping container now.
If nothing else, it makes you a nice, proud dad, doesn't it?
Yeah, proud and broke. So, it definitely makes you proud to see her achieving all these things.
So we'll put your business in the show notes. If anyone is needing a relocation or an idea via the phone or a bit of advice, they can give you a call.
Yeah.
All right. Well, on that note,
you guys are nuts.
On that note, we'd like to wish you a Merry Christmas, mate, and we will catch up soon, no doubt.
Merry Christmas to Ivy and Amy and yourself, and look forward to hearing what the new year brings for you.
Merry Christmas to you guys too, and have a good year.
Take care, guys. Thanks for listening to the Cold Blooded Contributions podcast. The Cold Blooded Contributions podcast is proudly sponsored by Midwest Tongs. For over 40 years, the Midwest Tongs team has provided the highest quality snake handling tools made in the USA. Made by professionals for professionals. Visit Midwest Tongs at www.tongs.com. A massive thank you to our guests throughout the year. We have loved talking to you guys and have really appreciated you taking time out of your busy schedules to talk to us, both for the podcast and the catch-ups. Usually we will be releasing our podcasts monthly, so make sure you follow us so you don't miss out on an episode. Give the Cold Blooded Contributions podcast a like on Facebook so you don't miss any updates, giveaways, or guest announcements. The links from the year's podcasts will be in the podcast show notes. Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year from us at Nature for You and the Cold Blooded Contributions podcast. We hope you enjoyed the catch-ups from everyone you've listened to throughout the year, and stay tuned for some equally amazing guests next year. And remember, always trust your creativity, it's intelligence having fun.
Merry Christmas!